looking at my Pat McAfee show on ESPN in front of us, and it's great to see the sports world embrace that. Our show today and every day is brought to you by friends over at Big Willie's, 1717 South Main. Craft food, craft cocktails, cold beers on draft. Obviously, you've got the soft drinks and everything else you need. Tell them OC sent you, and they're always going to hook you up. They'll take care of the veterans today, too, as well. Gordy Chiesa is going to join us in about half an hour. Jerem Jordan, coming off of BYU's lone loss so far in this 2025 BYU football season, as we do some red and blue with him. And then Jeff Schwartz, I've been told he will be coming off of an orthodontics appointment for the kids. So Jeff Schwartz will be with us at 1 o'clock. A lot of different things happening in the world of college sports, in the world of professional sports right now. The college football playoff rankings are going to be coming out later tonight. Of course, it's a 7 Eastern, 5 Mountain time that we get those. Where is Utah going to be? I don't really see much movement for the Utes, but what we saw last week, I think, gives us a good sense of what's going to happen the rest of the way if everybody holds serve. ESPN has done a great breakdown on this prediction. I mean, look, we could spend all day really kind of talking about the ins and the outs. We just have to wait and see. Again, the indication that you got from the Big 12 reputation in the committee rankings, the first one out, still in the mix, Utah. ESPN still has Cincinnati in the mix, and mathematically that's absolutely true. Because of what happened against Utah and because of the tough schedule that Cincinnati's still got ahead of them, I just don't see how the Bearcats really factor into this. I mean, I know they could be in the Big 12 championship game. If that happens, it's bad for the Big 12 conference, and I don't think it's great for Cincinnati because if they're on the opposite side of Texas Tech in that Big 12 championship game, I just don't see how it would work out well. Now, some people might be saying the same thing about Utah. So we will wait. We will see how it plays out. You're running Utes men's basketball team in action last night. Big win in non-conference play. They get started the right way. They're at 3-0 to begin the Alex Jensen era. He's going to join us on the show tomorrow. Very much looking forward to that. In fact, can't wait to see what conference play actually looks like for them, because the expectation, of course, is that it's going to be kind of a rough stretch, some growing pains. And that's where I feel about it. That's where I come out on it. I just don't know how you evaluate in college basketball right now growth that doesn't show itself in the form of big wins if we get into this Big 12 conference play and those growing pains manifest themselves the way that a lot of us think. So right now I'm going to index on the positive side of things, and we're going to talk about the good stuff that we're seeing from Alex Jensen's crew. Clearly, the other night when you went into overtime with Weber State, a squad that is respectable, but that you should absolutely overmatch, especially in the kind of like physical matchups. There was some discouraging info or some discouraging things to see when you get out-rebounded by a Big Sky squad, all right? You don't want to be out-rebounded by a Big Sky squad. When Alex Jensen, especially a guy who's really kind of predicated his reputation on defense, on hustle, on the stuff that is not based on your athleticism, the front of house talent type stuff, you can't have a performance, even in a win, where you're like it leaves people scratching their heads like, hey, is this going to be a team that doesn't crash the boards? Is this going to be a team that struggles in this aspect of the game? Is this going to be a team that finds difficulty in the controllables? Because you're going to go up against teams that are more talented than you. You're going to go up against teams that are longer than you. You're going to go up against teams that are faster than you, that have been together longer than you've been together. The controllables for Utah men's basketball are those hustle plays, are those effort things, and we'll talk with Gordy Chase about it here in a few minutes. We've always talked about it with different basketball personalities. It is rebounding. It is defense. It is, in a lot of ways, the extra pass that are the controllables. You can kind of count on, right? Even for a team that maybe is missing things on the other fronts. If you don't have the best shooters in the league or the best shooters in the conference, you hope for an opportunity to make up for that with defensive effort and with rebounding effort. Don't give extra possessions when another team takes a bad shot or misses a shot. Don't give them extra possessions by allowing offensive rebounds. Against Weber State, Utah men's basketball left a lot to be desired. And the reason I'm bringing it up, I don't mean to harp on something negative here, but the reason I'm bringing it up is because we saw in the very short span, in the space of time between two non-conference games, you saw Utah clearly putting some type of emphasis into the boards in this game, and they obviously ended up on the right side of the ledger there, 40 rebounds in this game for your Utah men's basketball team. So progress, while it might not be as rapid or as universally smooth as we like for it to be, I think is something that we can count on with this Utah men's basketball team. And I'm not just talking about from season to season. I'm talking about practice to practice, game to game, week to week. When the warts start to show themselves, Alex Jensen's the kind of coach who's going to figure those things out faster than most. So there's some positivity there. Utah Mammoth are back in action tomorrow night. There's just a lot of things going on in the world of sports that we can dive into. Monday Night Football last night. And maybe I'm triggered. Maybe I'm feeling some type of sensitivity because we saw a game similar to this one play out in a negative fashion for your Utes earlier in the year. If you're the Green Bay Packers and you're relying on a game-tying field goal from 64 yards off a maybe like 85% healthy kicker, you're probably going to scratch your head just a little bit. You're already bothered that the game was so dang boring that you went into halftime 0-0. You're more bothered and you're questioning things more if you had opportunities earlier in the game when it was clear. Now, text me 877-353-0700 if you've seen this movie before. It becomes apparent after the first quarter of this game that points are going to be at a premium, and that anytime you're in any kind of scoring position, you really have to think about getting whatever you can on the board. This is the NFL we're talking about, so we're not discussing 27-yard field goals. I think it was 57 and 59 that Green Bay had an opportunity to kick from. Those are far from gimmies, okay? But the coach says, nope, we're going for it here. Or, we're going to punt here. And then, because you get into the desperation situation, and because you don't have other options, you try to kick for it from 64. So you told your kicker, I don't believe that you could make this one from 57. I don't think you could make this one from 59. But 64, we're going to give you a shot. You've heard me say this probably 15 different times on 15 different shows. The distrust, the dysfunction, the what the heck are we doing here with kicking permeates high school football, college football, and even shows itself on a national stage on Monday Night Football in the NFL. And it is one of the most mind-boggling, aggravating, and insane things that you can find in the world of sports. How have we not reached a place where we know what kickers are capable of on a consistent basis, on a regular basis? And this is where the comparison obviously falls apart, because when you're talking college football, when you're talking about Utah kicking or not kicking against BYU, 57, 59, and 64 are not even part of the conversation. Those are punting situations or go-for-it situations. You're not kicking those in college football. You're just not. Even with the biggest leg or the best recruit in the kicking position, you're not doing that. I don't like the Packers. I don't care if the Packers win this game. But when you have to trot someone out for a 64-yard field goal, and you told him earlier in the game, you told him earlier that same day, I don't think we're not going to score here. We know we're not going to score here. We're not getting a touchdown here. But I don't even want to try to put points on the board. We're going to play a field position game here instead, because I don't think you could make it from 57 or 59. By the way, you better win us this game or tie us this game and give us a chance to win with the 64-yarder. No wonder you send it not only left, but he didn't miss left, he missed west, okay? That's like when you're talking about the large-scale miss, when you're looking at a map and west is on the left. That's how far he missed it. He kicked that thing into the Pacific Ocean. Just absolutely bananas how bad things get when coaches, even high level, even NFL coaches, don't know what they've got in their kickers. Obviously, we complain, we lament, we get nervous about when you're like, I don't know, what about is our defensive backfield going to be good this year? We played that game in the offseason with Utah football. You remember this? I don't know, but these wide receivers going to be good enough? Do we have any weapons in the pass-catching game? I could go back. If I scroll back far enough on our text line, I asked that question 2 weeks before the season began. What are you most confident in? What are you least confident in? From now on, every time we talk about football, I'm going to have to put an asterisk next to that question, because I already know what you're least confident in, because coaches are least confident in it, and it is the kicking game. Even if you feel like you've got one of the best kickers in the league, you got one of the best kickers in the game, you got one of the best kickers in college football, there's just no trust in kickers. We've removed the kickoff from the game effectively. Find a way to get kicking for points out of the game and improve football. Get the foot out of football. I'm starting the campaign. 877-353-0700. Text me your T-shirt designs. Take the foot out of football, and we'll sell those on our ESPN700sports.com website. We'll fundraise. We'll create a campaign. There's not a person out there, including the coaches who have to rely on them or not rely on them, that wants the kickers to be big time in college football or in professional football. I say this even as Pat McAfee has tried to bring kicking back into the consciousness of the world, and he's on my television right in front of me right now. Am I up in the night there, James? Did your mind go in that direction when we were looking at a 10-7 final score on a Monday Night Football game, just an absolute snooze fest of a game? That, now a kicker is going to be relied upon to try to send this thing into overtime. The same team that is telling the kicker, we don't think you can get us points in shorter field goal situations, you now got to go kick a 64-yarder.
Yeah, thankfully I successfully avoided watching that game except for the final seconds because I got to go to the Now You See Me, Now You Don't advanced screening last night.
Oh man,
which was fun.
You were the one who won those tickets on the station.
I didn't win the tickets. Now don't put that out there. No,
we don't do that. Our promotions department every once in a while holds a couple back for us.
So the way this works is the outlets that promote the advanced screenings, the screenings, Lionsgate in this case, the production company allows for a few staff seats, is what they call it. So I got to use one of the staff seats. So yeah, but I saw the end where I'm like, 59-yard field goal in there, and Joe Buck is talking about how cold it is and how that's not really conducive for kicking long field goals, but that's what they need. That's really their only option at this point. And doesn't he miss it short and when they ice him? And they're like, okay, I guess we're doing Hail Mary. And then they throw him back out there because they try the pass to get it a little closer, and it sails out of bounds. And like you said, just into the Pacific Ocean. I love what he kicked it west, not left.
He's wide west. It's too large of a margin to say left. Wide left is like, ooh. He almost doinked it off the post there. That was wide west.
West. Yeah, that was. Yeah, so I did not see I don't have the context you have of the rest of the game where they showed that they obviously had no trust. Matt LaFleur obviously had no trust in his kicker. But with you saying that, it like kickers, it's the part of the game that I think all of us would say we don't like, right? But it still is a big part of contributing to winning if you use it right. Right?
Yes, right. And obviously I'm just being sour grapes right now. I don't actually want to take kicking out of football. The thing about it is I don't know that there's an aspect in other sports, and maybe this is why we love football in such a singular manner in the United States of America, but I'm trying to find what is the equivalent of that in other sports. Like, what is the equivalent of, well, let's trot this guy out for a game-winning scenario or a game-losing scenario or a game-tying scenario who's only going to be on the field of play for 60 seconds. It's truly special teams.
The specialist, and not just special situations, but that's the only job they have.
That's the only job they have.
I was going to say free throws might be that thing, like the special team thing.
Shoot 'em.
But you don't have a designated free throw shooter.
That's right.
Although,
who, by the way, only comes off the bench for 30 seconds a game to shoot free throws.
Shout out to my brother Mike Peterson. He and I, that's been a pet idea of ours, is you should have a designated technical free throw shooter. That's like anytime there's a flagrant foul or a technical foul, he's like that's how I could have gotten in the NBA. I can practice free throws well enough to be a designated free throw shooter.
I've proposed many times that the NBA should have enforcers. So maybe if you can find the Venn diagram of someone who is not only a good fighter but also really good at shooting free throws, that guy can have a roster spot. So he's only brought to
get the technical fouls and then make the free throw on the other team's technical fouls.
Of course, his real purpose is probably getting ejected from games, and then you're. But there's nothing else.
we have this. Then we have this. If we do create that position, which of course is not going to happen, we also create this position where we created a position where they get all the death threats on all the team. They get all the anger just like kickers do. It's like, you had one job.
And look, for fans, it becomes a problem. And like I said, I'm just being sour grapes because it was a boring football game that came down to the most anticlimactic, disgusting field goal attempt we've seen in the NFL.
You're just mad that ESPN wasted your time.
But I'm also looking at it and I'm saying, man, like Matt LaFleur, I probably sound like I'm criticizing Matt LaFleur here, but I don't know that that's what I'm doing. I think that every coach, if you actually put the truth serum in their veins, would be like, if you could somehow make it so I don't have to worry about kickers, I would love that. Because, again, I know every sport is its own thing. I just don't know if there's even a rough equivalent in any other major sport. Like
I don't think there is.
Your closer in baseball.
Yeah, the baseballs have specialty.
There's some real specialists in baseball.
Lefty specialists, which are not really a thing like they used to be because you have to face three batters now.
In hockey, they used to have goons.
Yeah.
Right? You don't really have that anymore, but there used to be guys who, like, they weren't good hockey players. They were just there to enforce the unwritten rules.
You still have guys like the Mammoth have Jack McBain, where he's not the most skilled player on the ice, but he still has skill. It's not like the old goons.
Right. Like, he's still an NHL hockey player. Now, he is the designated tough guy, right? And every team's got actually probably two or three.
He probably mixes it up the most of anyone on the Mammoth.
If someone lays a dirty hit on Kells, if someone goes out there and cross-checks Gunther or Cooley,
or hits Veg,
you're probably going to have to sort that out, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, and those guys like Spicy Tuna engaged in a little bit of that.
That's right. He's one of those guys too.
McBain will do it. I mean, Logan Krause doesn't mind. But like, you've got a couple of those guys, and some teams have, even more guys who are even more in that role. But again, it's not like it used to be where, I mean, I've said this before. We talked with Bear Tournier about this. I fought a guy in the UFC who that was his pre-UFC life. He was a French-Canadian hockey goon in the professional ranks up there. That's what he did. Not because he was a great hockey player. He was just a guy who was good at fighting. Like, okay, cool.
Tough guy who wanted to fight. Yeah.
All right, but
you have again, those guys, but nowadays they actually skate pretty well, and they can score a little bit.
Score, pass. they have to be able to do the other stuff. So, like, there's not, like you said, in NBA basketball, there's not a designated free throw shooter.
No.
There are guys.
You have guys who are only good at defense, not good at much else.
Well,
but that's not a specialty position like a kicker is.
I guess the closest thing is the modern. And I'm talking about the modern. I'm not talking about the 1990s. I'm talking about, like, the true big man, like the low post defender in the NBA.
Yeah, who just all he does on offense is catches lobs and gets offensive rebounds.
The 7'4" Eastern European guy who can't really run, but he's just a big body. I guess that's almost. Again, it's not. It's not the same thing. That guy's supposed to be able to play the whole game. And kickers are this weird anomaly. And maybe I'm looking at it from the wrong angle. Maybe that's why we love football the way we do, because it's like a chessboard, right? Like the king in chess can't do bleep for you. The king in chess sucks. Has no offensive ability, is the ultimate specialist, but is so critically important. In fact, is the most important thing in the game of chess, right? Kickers can't do anything for you except the most important thing in football, and they can score you points. And they're only used 4 times a game. And they're not – and in the case of this, and the reason I'm on this rant, and the reason I ranted – the biggest rant I've ever done in my career was the Monday after the BYU game, and the reason I'm ranting about – situations like this is because kickers are so crucially important that they have this outsized, overweight influence on coaching decisions in a way that I am a little uncomfortable with, if I'm honest. And I'm looking at it from the negative lens, but maybe 877-353-0700, maybe some of you out there are looking at it and saying, no, this is why football is so special and so unique, because especially in that particular play, you have 3 guys involved in that play who basically don't do anything else. Long snapper, holder, kicker, you have this very delicate, detailed interplay of skills that nobody else on the team has.
Who's the rest of the – I have never actually considered this, asked anyone who knows more about football than I do. Who's the rest of the O-line on the kicking team?
O-linemen.
They're guys who play – the rest of the game.
It's usually your backup offensive linemen, sometimes starters, but it's usually backup offensive linemen, and your alignment is totally different. They don't have the same gaps in spacing, obviously, for clear reasons. And then usually the guys out at the very edges are tight end, defensive end types, like where if you want to run a fake, you could kind of like they're more athletic, that kind of a thing.
Well, and they're more athletic to shuffle their feet and get to the faster guys who are coming in to block it. Yeah.
But like they don't even like the way that these protection schemes, you don't even really have to. In a lot of cases, it's very much like a rugby
hit the guy in front of you.
Tush push, like just lock yourself down kind of a thing, because it's supposed to be a bang bang play, right?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be snap, hold, kick with no delay at all between those things. I mean, I don't know what the average time from snap to kick is on extra points on field goals, but it's definitely less than 2 seconds.
Yeah.
It's probably approaching 1 second.
The only time it's longer is if the holder had to adjust the hold at all. Like, the snap was tricky. I gotta whatever. Yeah.
And like, again, I've wasted 27 minutes of our time here, but it is such a randomly unique and universally accepted and agreed upon outlier of a play that even really great coaches at the highest level, talking to you, Matt LaFleur, really great coaches, talking about guys like Kyle Whittingham, 20 years in, 40 years in, 15 years into their careers, multiple years into their head coaching careers, they're still like a little bit skittish about, can I trust it here? Can I trust it here? Can I trust it here? Do I know if this is the right play here? Because you're not just deciding, all right, does he have the leg? You're also deciding, is he the type of guy I can trust in this situation? Because I'm bringing him in close to cold. They get their warm-up kicks. It's just a nuts, crazy thing. Let's take a break. I have a feeling I'm going to get some airing of grievances on that segment on Friday. People are going to be like, why were you ranting on a Tuesday about kicking?
Yeah, I'm glad we talked that through, OC.
Before I take a break, let me ask you this. Is that, because it is darn near singular, is that one of the reasons we love football, or is that a thing we just kind of like, we swallow it because it's part of football?
For me, and I think it depends on, I don't think I feel the same way about it every time, which is interesting. Because I think that it's also, it's a very dramatic part that's unique to football in the way I've heard it compared to the soccer penalty kicks, right? Or to really high pressure free throws late in the game, where it's like you're by yourself, no one else is around you, no one else is allowed to be around you, and you have to line up and do this very unique thing that's unlike any other thing in the rest of the gameplay, right? And that's really fun drama. And I do like that about the kicking game in football, but also there's a part of me that sometimes is like, can't we just figure out a different way to end this that's an actual football play?
Like soccer,
I can't completely get that out of my mind.
In soccer and hockey, people get so bothered by the shootout debate.
Yeah, shootout in hockey is another great example.
Because they're like, this is not real soccer. This is not real hockey. I want my game decided on real soccer and real hockey. In baseball, when they put the runner on second in extra innings, baseball purists were just like, that's not real baseball. What are we doing here? But in football, for the entire existence of the game, basically, we've been like, let's make it so that a very non-football play decides what happens in football.
And it's all the rugby try, right? That's probably where it comes from.
That's exactly where it comes from. It's the point after. It's worth 2 points in rugby.
Yeah, so it's not like it's adopted from rugby way back when, and maybe that's part of it. Is that like this is a detraction from this sport that a lot more people used to love around here.
Well, here's the thing.
It's acceptable in our version of it.
You know who kicks it after a rugby try?
It's not a designated player, right?
It is a designated player. It's your best kicker. Oh, no, it's the person who scores, but it's an actual rugby player. It's not some, like...
They do other things.
It's not some, like, scrawny weirdo who runs in with a fake rugby outfit.
Scrawny weirdo.
Right? Shout out to Andy Phillips, who I'm sure is listening right now and is just yelling at, why are you calling it scrawny weirdo? I get it. Kickers, that's the thing. When your
huge
kicker's
listener
good,
of the program. Shout out to Andy Phillips.
When your kickers are good, you love them, but it's like, I don't know. Last night, I don't know why a random Monday Night Football game got me feeling all up in my feelings about this, but it's like, dude, the mental gymnastics that go into, from a coaching standpoint, into kicking is so insane.
Like you say, regardless of experience, guys who you think should just have it should be automatic in their head, it just isn't.
All right. I'm putting a poll question out there about this. Answer it there, and we'll stop talking about it, I promise. Gordy Chiesa joins us next on the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Well, we welcome in our resident NBA guru, Gordy Chiesa, brought to you by our friends over at Aladdin Industries. Gordy, welcome to the show once again. How are you, sir?
Sean, I'm doing fine. Thank you.
Look, I know I missed you on Thursday. You were able to join the show, but you and I have not yet had a conversation about the loss of Walker Kessler for the season. He's going to have that shoulder surgery. Huge bummer for me. Again, you probably have already talked about this plenty of times, but I just wanted to get your thoughts to start this conversation because, we had seen some significant growth from him, and I think we would have continued to see that, and now he's got to I guess, figure out how to continue to grow as a basketball player while also recovering from an injury.
Yeah, very much. So the first thing about it is that he's played very well the whole season. He only played 5 contests. So it sets back the Jazz as far as individual development, meaning him, but also as far as the unit development. And so it does affect them, to say the least. Now, contractually, that they didn't give the extension because it gives them later on in July more flexibility to see how the landscape is in the NBA, and I'm sure they still want to sign him. So it's almost like delayed. Now, his point of view is that it just shows you about if you have an injury, that it does set you back as far as possibly financially, and the mental toll of they're going to resign me. Again, he was drafted by the Jazz, so usually speaking, Sean, when someone drafts you and you're a young guy and you're relatively progressing in the same trajectory of success, they're going to re-sign you. But immediately right now, it hurts the Jazz. It puts so much stress now on the other big guys to perform.
So how does it work in an organization? Like, you've got your big board on a draft day. Do you have that all year long when you're talking about, entertaining trade offers and things like that with your own players, where you're like, this is the person who's most important to us and to our future? This guy's second, this guy's third. Is that something that the franchise maintains kind of all year long?
Absolutely. That's an understatement. Yes. That's the job of director of pro personnel, that they have to be on top of all the guys in the league who might be available, who wasn't a month ago, who's their agent, what the agent's saying to the teams, whether it's not being truthful or almost truthful or definitely truthful based on with the agent relationship with him. And so the answer is yes, very much. As I always talk about it all the time, is don't tell me when a guy's going to be good. Tell me before he's good why he's going to be good. And it's the same thing also when a guy rating the league. When I was director of pro personnel, Sean, for the Memphis Grizzlies, is that I used to spend so much time on the losing teams of studying the films and instinctively what guys play to win on losing teams. Because those are the guys that you can get for a discount, and when they come to your team, their careers jump-started, and economically speaking, most times those guys outperform their contract. So in the NFL, I'm sure, because so many injuries, the guys in the pro personnel side, they do this every second of the day of trying to get guys on their team as far as either taxi squad guys or guys making the roster.
So if you have that kind of like, I don't know, hierarchy within your own organization, where is Walker Kessler on that list for the Utah Jazz right now? Because I know he's on other people's whiteboards saying like, hey, he's injured right now, but we really like this kid. We know that the Lakers liked him a lot last year, whatever. Internally, if Lauri Markkanen is player number 1 and I guess, I don't know, Keontae's 2, Ace Bailey's 3, whatever. I don't know how it really works out. Where is Walker Kessler in terms of the priority, the list of importance for the Utah Jazz as an individual player right now?
4. So you well said. So Lauri Markkanen is 1. Keontae Joy is 2. Ace Bailey is 3. And Walker Kessler 4. Okay. And all have value. And so one big guy, one stretch forward, meaning Lauri Markkanen, one ultra-talented young fella that's 19 years old, and Ace Bailey, and one emerging winning player in Keontae George in his 3rd year. I'll call him a guard. He's not really a point guard. He's not really only totally a 2 guard. He's a guard, and that's a compliment. So that's the pecking order right now. Now the question is, with that group, can you add other players to that so they have a winning environment eventually, and then what's it going to cost? And that's a factor. The reason why Kessler is so important because it's hard to duplicate what he does. As a young, big guy that runs the floor, is a shot blocker, yes, he's an offensive liability, but he has slightly improved that perimeter shot, and he made some threes this year early in the 25-26 campaign. So his arc is good. And so he's fourth right now on the Jazz as far as cannot trade unless it's an unbelievable knockout situation.
What is the thing that the Jazz need to improve most right now? The most urgent need to improve from a gameplay standpoint. I'm looking at 31% from the three, whatever it could be, their rebounding. What if you're coaching this Jazz team, what is priority number one to improve?
Driving the ball to the basket under control. In other words, where, yes, three-point shooting is absolutely important, yes, but so is scoring. So I always say, don't shoot yourself out of winning a game by only taking threes. Yes, you're going to take threes, and I'm an advocate of it. But if it's not working that night, drive the ball to the basket with measure and with content, and then look to make plays in the middle game. Because remember, Sean, you and I talk about this all the time during playoff basketball. Most teams, unfortunately, in regular season don't play playoff basketball, even though they win. They get to the playoffs, and they get punched in the face in the first and second round, even though they have talented guys. So I say all the time, let's play playoff basketball in the regular season, so when you do make the playoffs, it's perfectly normal, your game plan. So, Sean, like in the NFL, as always, you might have this high-scoring offense in the NFL. You come to the playoffs, what? It's a drag-out, unbelievable line of scrimmage game.
Gordy Chase is our guest here on the Sean O'Connell Show for a few more minutes, brought to you by Aladdin Industries. All right, I thought that this would be a headline several months ago, and it's finally happened. The Dallas Mavericks have parted ways with Nico after the Luka trade, and he was probably the most derided guy in the game for a while. Things are not going well in Dallas at the moment, even though they did get Cooper Flagg, which, of course, birthed a lot of conspiracy theories, at least for me. But now Nico Harrison is out. What do the Mavericks do from here?
They don't panic now. So they made a change as far as up top. Michael Finley, former Dallas Mavericks player, and Matt Riccardi is going to run the team interimly. And then they'll select, if not those guys, they'll select a general manager probably in the off season. Now, part of the reason why they're not winning, they have a tremendous coach in Jason Kidd. That's the first premise. They're the lowest scoring team in the NBA. And Kyrie Irving, who would help that, hasn't played a game this year. He's coming back roughly January 15th. He got hurt last year on March 13th with the torn left knee ACL. Anthony Davis was part of the Luka Doncic trade. And for the listeners right now, as far as to remind people, that's when on February 3rd last year, Nico Harrison traded Luka Doncic, a once-in-a-lifetime player, to the Lakers for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a future first-round pick in 2029. It absolutely backfired. It was Christmas in February for the Lakers, and for the Dallas Mavericks, it didn't work out. Davis is hurt right now, only played 5 games this year so far. And so they're injured. They are disarray. There's absolutely a fan as far as a mutiny right now, as far as the fans absolutely, which affects the business model. You never want to do it only what the fans say. However, it's a reality. The financial health of a team is based on the fans are going to games and having a buzz about the team. Let's not forget, Sean, back in 2024, the Mavericks lost to the Celtics in the NBA Finals. And so getting back, you and I talk about it all the time, is that things change so fast in professional sports. 1 minute you're up top, and the next minute you're on the bottom. And that's why it's so important when you have a good team like the Mavericks that you build on it versus trying to tear it up.
So, Gordy, this is a little inside baseball in the media world, but the Nico Harrison stuff, it's being reported on before it's official, right? Shams and those guys, the NBA insiders, were tweeting out, hey, the Mavericks are expected to meet with him and fire him today. before the meeting happened. If you're Nico, do you know this is coming? Like, he knew before the reporters did, I would hope.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, you know. You can tell. Yeah, you can tell in the building that 2 days before that they're not talking to you. Meaning what? Ownership level or people that are executive vice presidents. They look at you trying to avoid you with eye contact, and that's one, being a coward as far as not talking to the people, meaning the Nico Harrison, but also just generally speaking, you sense it when you're in a building all day long. Is for in any profession that you know when things are not working out. And you can defend yourself behind closed doors, but usually speaking, it's at the highest level, meaning ownership, and that's what happened to Nico Harrison. The trade didn't work out. I have no idea. They said that the reason why they traded Luka Doncic in his prime, they felt that they didn't want to give him the Supermax extension, that it would handcuff the rest of their team as far as future out, and that they thought there was a conditioning was a problem, and his overall attitude as far as taking team basketball seriously. He goes to the Lakers, Hollywood, Showtime. LeBron's hurt right now. Austin Reeves is balling out, and Luka is a huge part of the Lakers right now success, where the Lakers right now are 8-3 without LeBron.
Gordy, Michael Ray Richardson has passed away. He was 70 years old and had a complicated legacy, I think is fair to say, in the NBA. Banned from the NBA after violating the drug policy, but he was also a comeback player of the year. He was a first-team all-defensive player. What did you know about Michael Ray?
That he was troubled. Yeah, during the 1980s, David Stern, he put the NBA into the echelons of professional sports. There was a drug problem in the NBA. It was real, just like in America. You know, you see the movies like Wall Street, etc. You know, where wealthy people use cocaine as the quote, the drug of choice, and the NBA was part of that culture, where not everybody, but unfortunately many people were using cocaine and other drugs during the 1980 decade. They call the 80s, Sean, the decade of excess. And so Michael Richardson was one of the people that David Stern banned for basketball. He had to go to Italy and play in Italy for 2 years before he was reinstated. When he was somewhat straight on his head and clean mentally, is that he was a terrific, unbelievable two-way player, where he was like lightning quick with his hands. He would steal the ball and go in traffic and make plays, almost like just try to visualize 35, 40 years ago, Russell Westbrook. That's who he played like, frenzy pace up and down the floor. His teammates really liked him. In other words, so despite all these off-the-court troubles, his floor mates respected him for what he did. Unfortunately, he died this morning of cancer, and now he's hopefully he's at peace of mind.
Gordy, what's the list today?
All right, list today also passed away, Sean. On Saturday was the late, great Lenny Wilkens. So in honor of Lenny Wilkens, I have a short list of the greatest NBA head coaches. And this is just my opinion. So this is not based on any other data, just everybody involved in this equation. Either I know personally or even I was a young guy growing up that I saw these guys coach. The greatest NBA coaches. 1, here's the criteria: winning. 2, longevity. 3, consistency. 4, leadership. And 5, change agent. Add to these attributes also connectivity, superior teaching, and upbeat discipline. And that's a catchword here, upbeat discipline. Baker's dozen. Number 13, Jack Ramsey. 1 championship, Trailblazers, 1977. Number 12, just mentioned, Lenny Wilkens. 1 championship, 1979, the Seattle Supersonics. Also, Sean, he's the only person in the history of basketball to be voted to the Hall of Fame in 3 categories. He was a great player, 9-time All-Star, Hall of Famer. He was an unbelievable coach as far as the Supersonics and the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Knickerbockers and the Raptors. And he also was put in the Hall of Fame in 1996 as the coach of the second Dream Team, a gold medal in Atlanta in 1996 Olympics. Number 11, greatest coach of all time, Casey Jones of the Celtics, 2 championships, 84 and 86 season. Number 10, Larry Brown, 1 championship with the Pistons, 2004. Number 9, Jerry Sloan, my beloved colleague and friend. Unfortunately, no championships, but Jerry won 1,221 career wins. Number 8, Red Holzman of the Knickerbockers, 2 championships, 1970 and 73. Number 7, actively coaches the Miami Heat, Eric Spoelstra, 2 championships in 2012 and 2013. Number 6, the original Dream Team coach in 1992 in Barcelona, Chuck Daly, 2 championships, Pistons, 1989 and 90. The 5th greatest coach of all time. He coaches the Golden State Warriors, Steve Kerr. Head coach also of the Paris Olympics, a gold medal, 4 NBA championships with the Warriors. Number 4 all time, Pat Riley, 5 championships, 4 Lakers, 1 Heat. Number 3, we all know his name, for the San Antonio Spurs, 5 championships, also gold medal coach in the 2021 Tokyo Olympics, Greg Popovich. The 2nd greatest coach of all time from the Celtics, Red Auerbach, 9 championships. And the greatest NBA coach of all time, he coached the Bulls and the Lakers, Phil Jackson, 6 with the Bulls championships, 5 with the Lakers, equals 11. Thus, that's my list of the day as the greatest NBA coaches. Sean, quickly, in your opinion, who are the 2 greatest NFL head coaches of all time?
I think you have to put Belichick in there, despite what has happened with the college experiment that he's been doing. I think Bill Walsh deserves some credit as well for the dynasty that he put together with the San Francisco 49ers, my favorite team. Vince Lombardi is talked about a lot. I would say for me personally, it's probably Bill Belichick, and you got to give love to Andy Reid because of what he did in Philadelphia and now what he's doing with the Kansas City Chiefs.
I love it, but you're leaving one guy out also. I know you love him too. How about Don Shula?
Shula's also up there. Man, you forget about.
It just shows you. See, I'm putting you in the spot in a good way to make you think, but also there's so many tremendous coaches, and that you just can't say, including NBA coaches, this guy's better than so and so. So much is circumstances, but think about that criteria, Sean, as far as either NFL or the NBA. You have to be a change agent, and you have to be able to connect with the players, but also have upbeat discipline and execute and be a world-class teacher.
When you look at, you're trying to separate because there's, like you said, there's so many great ones, Gordy. Is it a requirement for you that they have to have had success with different groups of players? Because that's the argument against Belichick right now, is that so much of his great success was tied with Tom Brady, and then Tom Brady kind of proved the point that he could win without Belichick. He went to Tampa and won without Belichick. We never saw Bill win without Tom. So, like Phil Jackson, he won with the Lakers. He won with the Bulls. You could put him in Utah. He would have won with the Jazz. You know what I mean? Is that a requirement for you that a guy's got to have demonstrated that he could coach multiple, even generations of players or multiple different teams to greatness?
Yes, very much. And that's getting back to your message about being a change agent. You, as a coach, as a person, any sort of business, you have to adapt to the times. If you don't adapt to the times, you're a dinosaur in your business. And so Phil Jackson, Pat Riley, Jerry Sloan, they all adapted to the time, but without giving away their core principles. And in the NFL, Sean, is that it's even more dramatic because there's so many different personalities in the locker room in an NFL situation. And the head coach is the leader of the group, and he has to be able to, one, delegate authority, but also the players know that he has their back as far as in situations where there might be a little bit go astray.
Gordy, you're the man. I always appreciate your time.
Thanks, Sean. Peace out.
Gordy Chiesa, resident NBA guru. He's brought to you by Aladdin Industries. Another reminder, ESPN 792 on FM, and very specifically, the Sean O'Connell Show, giving you a chance to win a pair of tickets to the Fierce Fighting Championship coming up Friday night at the Salt Lake City Masonic Temple. Make sure you're listening from 11 to 2 every day this week. Be ready to answer a trivia question at the end of the show around 1:45. We have tickets for you. You can also enter to win VIP tickets and find more details about the event at ESPN700sports.com. All right, we'll double up here. We'll come back for some red and blue with Jerem Jordan. It's the Sean O'Connell Show on Utah's #1 sports talk, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Red and blue time here on the Sean O'Connell Show. Every Tuesday we check in with Jerem Jordan. Conversation brought to you by friends at Murdoch Ford down in Santa Quin. New dealership, great selection. Check them out, especially the trucks right now. Jerem Jordan, welcome to the show. How are you?
What's going on?
I have to say this. My old producer at SiriusXM, he texted me the other day. He's just like, hey, we need a BYU insider. Who's the person we should talk to? And so without asking your permission,
You're like Spencer Linton.
without asking your permission, I gave him your contact info because I was like, he knows this is the guy. If you want to talk BYU, this is the guy. And he doesn't do this ever, but he after you had the conversation on their show, who'd you go on with? The Meatheads?
Daria and EJ Manuel.
Yeah, okay. He reached out afterwards, just like, that guy is the best. I was like, yeah, he is. He's really good. So
That's very kind.
So yeah, rave reviews from the SiriusXM world.
Nice. Have them affirm me on LinkedIn or whatever it is. Endorse. That's the word. Endorse.
I will. How's the BYU fan base feeling? How's the vibe in Provo? Obviously, no one likes dealing with a loss. This is one that it was not the prettiest performance of BYU's football season, but not wholly unanticipated. Texas Tech is a group that can make you look bad. So how's it being processed right now in Provo?
I feel like both Utah and BYU were like, gosh, those guys are good.
Yeah, it sucks.
Losses by 24 and 22 respectively. Like, we both sort of understand the alpha in the league now, and kind of felt that way like preseason. Here's the thing, though. You can't just gel that quickly normally, right? Texas Tech's done a great job of bringing in the right pieces that fit together. They are awesome. I think BYU falling to 11 in the AP poll was fair and reflective of how good Texas Tech is. I think it was more about the Red Raiders being awesome and less about BYU being perceived as being quote unquote a fraud or something. I think people that have watched Tech and watched BYU and Utah understand, hey, Texas Tech's just better. They are, and they are going to be in the Big 12 title game because they have UCF and West Virginia. Is BYU now, though, going to allow that loss to become 2? And if they don't and they win the next 3, BYU's in. And Utah and ASU are hoping they can be in. So it's a race to the finish, and BYU's got 2 or 3 at home. They got at Cincinnati, which is going to be a tough game. BYU can employ whatever Utah did to crush the Bearcats. Hey, that's great too. So it's a big 3 weeks. But honestly, there's a real sense of in my opinion, my words about the situation, not anybody else's, an embarrassment, a humiliation, right, associated with that performance. I'm sure Utah felt similarly after that. But you have to move on, and then, hey, TCU comes in, and they just lost the game they shouldn't have lost against Iowa State. I thought TCU would come in here and have a shot at the Big 12 title game still if they'd beaten Iowa State, but no, they lost. So 2 teams kind of down on their luck a little bit, but BYU should feel really good about itself still, even though I know that wasn't a performance they wanted. They win the next 3, they're in the Big 12 title game. If you compete with Texas Tech, if you don't win, you should probably be in the college football playoff. So everything that BYU's wanted the last couple of weeks, and frankly from preseason, it's silly that we're even talking about Big 12 title game and college football playoff potential. It's all there still.
It is all there. I wonder, a big question coming out of the bye week is how healthy was BYU going to be able to get before such a crucial matchup. And it's hard to get full transparency on things like injuries, although easier in Provo than in Salt Lake City, maybe. Was LJ Martin was LJ Martin all the way healthy, or reasonably healthy for this game? He didn't look quite himself, but again, Texas Tech can do that to you.
Yeah, my understanding he was healthy.
Okay.
And I've heard from coaches that BYU feels pretty healthy right now. I mean, Sionimo is still out. You still have some injuries, right? But Jack Kelly and Isaiah Glasgow were feeling good coming out of the bye week. They got Raider Damuni back, one of the safeties, kind of in that 3-man rotation with Falatau Satuala and Tanner Wall. Offensively, the guys are feeling good. Tanner Wall actually said last Monday to me, he said, I woke up and felt like this morning like Superman coming out of the pod. And I was like, that's quite the feeling. I will never relate to that whatsoever. But BYU's feeling pretty healthy, which is great. I mean, BYU might be the healthiest team in the Big 12 right now. They've they're in a great spot in that regard with 3 games to go, which is awesome. Typically, you have more injuries right now, but BYU's doing pretty well.
So you already mentioned this. You can't let you can't let Texas Tech beat you twice. It is a cliche, but it is something that you kind of have to pay attention to. I think this coaching staff at BYU probably has good ideas about the right way to run practices to get that bad taste out of the mouth and get you focused and dialed in for what is an important game. The rest of them, as you mentioned, are important games. I'm with you. I thought TCU was probably going to have a little bit more success this year than they have had, but I still view them as a dangerous team. They haven't beaten anyone good yet, but I still view them as a dangerous team. What do you think is the key to a matchup with TCU for this BYU team that might still be looking a wound or two?
Yeah, obviously the pass game of TCU is their greatest strength with Josh Hoover, who throws for 298 a game. I mean, that's incredible. Eric McAllister is a guy you have to watch, 834 yards, 8 touchdowns. He had a massive game a couple weeks ago where he went for almost 250. They can still run the ball pretty effectively, though, with Trent Battle and Kavorian Barnes. So I think you don't want to get into a shootout with TCU. I think that they can put up some points at times. They're going to chuck it all over the field. I think the BYU secondary, for the most part, has been really good this year. Does BYU get a pass rush? Do they drop? I thought BYU's defense played pretty well against Texas Tech, all things considered. BYU's offense is the one that has to kind of do their thing, run the ball, set up the play action. Special teams for BYU struggled against Texas Tech. I mean, there were a lot of elements that BYU had not turned it over like that. They had not played like that on special teams. They had not played like that on offense. I honestly just credit that to the opponent on the other side of the field. I thought they were great. The good news is BYU's playing TCU and not Texas Tech this week. TCU's still a quality club, as you mentioned. I think BYU is going to be able to do some of the things they've been doing all year, which is take care of the football, run the ball. I think they take it away. I think they get a couple of picks. And being at home is a big deal. I think if this was on the road, there would be a massive red flag here. But at home, I think that flag is yellow. You have to be cautious. You have to be aware. You have to bring it. And there's an opportunity here. If BYU is going to do what its number one goal was, which is get to the Big 12 title game and learn from last year, they have to win this game. Then they have to beat Cincinnati. Then they have to beat UCF. If they didn't learn from last year, then you stumble, and then maybe you lose a tiebreaker, and it's back to last year. There's some scar tissue from last year of how disappointing that was, but BYU has an opportunity to rid itself of that and get to the Big 12 title game and have an opportunity at a conference championship. They have to flush that out because they're in control of their own destiny still, even after that loss. So get after it.
Jerem Jordan is our guest here, Red and Blue, talking a little BYU perspective on all the happenings in the Big 12 Conference. Bear Bachmeier has been a revelation this year. He's been absolutely fantastic. It's been really fun to watch. This game was kind of the first time he looked like a freshman. And again, I throw the qualifier out on almost everything in this conversation. TCU does that to people. They make they expose whatever flaws there are in your offense, especially. And I think that Bear just came back down to earth maybe a little bit here. It gets very fascinating for me, Jerem, because we see this kind of like freshman success sometimes where guys don't know why they should be intimidated. They don't know why the game should be harder for them. They're just like, ignorance is bliss in some ways. And I'm not trying to call Bear Bachmeier ignorant. It's just like the blessing of youth is that you come into a situation like he's come into, and you don't know that things should be difficult for you. He hasn't played like things are difficult for him. Is there any fear? Is there any worry that Texas Tech maybe plants the first seed of doubt in the quarterback specifically, and we get a little regression from this point forward?
I mean, it's a fair question for sure. I don't think so. I just think David Bailey and Romello Height and Jacob Rodriguez are 3 of the top 10 players in college football on defense. By PFF saying that by their individual grade, those are outstanding guys. Then I think what happened was you get down 2 or 3 scores, and then it's into the 20s, and you're trying to make a play, you're pressing, you're forcing. Bear did that a couple of times, turned it over. And Jacob Rodriguez, honestly, he's like a defender that deserves to be in the Heisman conversation. So that guy makes plays. TCU doesn't have that guy sitting on the other side or guys. And so I think BYU is going to be able to do some things to make him a little more comfortable, which is run the ball, move the ball down the field, get a lead, in the game, as opposed to, okay, we're down, 29-0 and garbage time and whatever. I just think the makeup of the game will be different. And I've heard from several people, and I agree, that if the means to the game change a little bit early, if BYU doesn't muff a punt or shank a punt or miss a field goal early, does it mean BYU is going to win? No. But does it mean sort of the flow of the game is different from a momentum and confidence standpoint? Yes. So I think against TCU that will change, and then you'll see the Bear Bachmeier you've been seeing.
We haven't had a conversation since the first college football playoff ranking came out, and I was pleasantly surprised with the way the committee seemed to have given us some notice, like, hey, we like the Big 12. We acknowledge that this league has some really good teams. Obviously, it's going to be shuffled a little bit tonight when we get the new rankings, but they had Utah sitting right outside that top 12, although with the automatic qualifiers, that really is more like a 15 or 16 ranking, but I digress. So, BYU and Texas Tech sending the message like, hey, you're, I think, at least a 2-team league if things kind of hold serve. Is that what you expected from the committee? I thought that, maybe it's my history in the Pac-12 and my insecurities associated with always having to look up at the Big Ten and the SEC and things like that. But were you surprised at all by the fact that the committee seemed to give a nod towards the Big 12 in their first rankings?
I was a little surprised. I'm with you, where I was like, wait, what? BYU's up to 7? Texas Tech is 8? Utah's 13? This is great. I'm really intrigued by what they're going to do tonight. And are they going to keep BYU inside the top 12? I'm hoping BYU's 11. That's kind of my best case situation here. I wouldn't be surprised if they're 12. I would hate it if they were 13 plus. And I think that Utah should be concerned about where BYU is too, because that committee is going to sit there and make sure that BYU is above Utah with the one loss and the head-to-head. So it all affects both of us, right? Texas Tech should be. I hope they climb above Oregon. Frankly, I think they should. And then there's a fun conversation with kind of the Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M. They're your top 3 for sure. Bama, Georgia, Ole Miss. Those 3 kind of feel firmly entrenched in the top 6. Does Texas Tech just move up? The one spot to 7 where BYU was? Would that be fair, or should they be higher? I think it's all super interesting. And we were talking today on BYU Sports Nation about, okay, let's say BYU gets to the Big 12 title game but doesn't win it. Like, will a 2-loss team after a Big 12 title loss be an at-large team? And I argued for BYU needs some style points the next 3 weeks to look more than a team that, although winning is awesome, it's nice to get a little bit of style points. Ask Indiana on a bunch of their games. They just survived against Penn State, catch of the year, by the way, to win that. And then you have to compete way better in the Big 12 title game to have a shot. I just don't want this league not to have 2. It deserves 2. If the playoff was 16, it deserves 3. So we'll see. I'm hoping they expand to 16 next year, and then we're talking about 3 this time of year instead of 2. Really intrigued. And as you mentioned, it's really going to be the top 10, Sean, because the G5 champ's going to get in. If that's a James Madison from outside the top 12, they take a spot. Now it's down to 11. If the ACC champ is not inside the top 12, that's another spot. So then basically you need to be inside the top 10 on Selection Sunday to feel like you're in for sure.
Yes, and that's where, with the logjam of SEC teams, with I think 3 Big Ten teams, Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon, right? The spots, although we love the vote of confidence from the committee, like the numbers are what they are. I want to flesh out, and again, it's all moot if you don't continue to win, but I want to flesh out the conversation of if BYU, as I think a lot of us probably anticipate, getting the pulse of most Utah fans, they're kind of like, BYU losing that game means we're not going to be in the conference championship game. It would have got a lot more interesting if BYU had beaten Texas Tech to get Utah back in for maybe a Holy War championship rematch. That's off the table now, so I think a lot of people are like, all right. So the more likely rematch is BYU-Texas Tech in the conference championship game. And if Texas Tech continues to have the success that we expect, and they're in Arlington, like we think they will be. Let's just play it out where they then beat BYU a second time. So now you've lost twice to the same team that also is in the college football playoff firmly at that point. They're probably a top 6 team, maybe would justify being a top 5 team in the country at that point. And like you said, now you're a 2-loss BYU team, but those 2 losses have come to the same Texas Tech squad that, with that level of success, should be in a national title conversation by that point. Will the committee then potentially be like, yeah, but we can't, like, you already had 2 bites at this apple and you proved that you're not really quite in that same league, so we can't bring you in? Or should they be a 2-loss individual or 2-loss group that gets a place at the table?
First off, the committee mentioned this last year, if I'm not mistaken, and I hope this continues, is that they don't want to punish teams that lose in a Big 12 title game or a Power 4
conference championship game. Yeah.
So with that in mind, it'd be like, well, they only had 1 loss in the regular season, and it was to an amazing team. They beat everybody else. They have XYZ wins. Look at their strength of record. Look at their all the metrics. BYU should be, if BYU is a 1-loss regular season team, to me, they should be in the playoff. I know there will be an argument against that based on, Colorado and Arizona, and they had to come back, and so on, Iowa State, and so on and so forth. Like, what are the good wins? It'll be Utah. The best win will be Utah, and that's the thing that BYU wants to say every year, regardless of how Utah is. But Utah's good. BYU's good. Texas Tech is great. And so it'll be an interesting conversation to see, can BYU out-at-large the Georgia Techs, the Notre Dame with 2 losses is in, but it's like Texas, Oklahoma, Vandy. There's some. The nice thing is there's still 3 weeks left in the regular season and conference championship week. There's some carnage to be had here. BYU hopes that it doesn't happen to them, but there's some stuff that could happen where BYU could slide into that top 10 if they only have 1 loss going into Selection Sunday. And then could they SMU their way in? SMU last year lost to Clemson. They had 1 regular season loss. They played a competitive game. If BYU kept it within, 1 score or 10 points with Texas Tech, it's like they should be in. So that score in that game, should that be the situation, may loom very large in what happens.
Is there any level of carnage, is probably the better way to ask this, where the Big 12 gets 3 teams in a 12-team playoff?
I don't see it. Utah could run the table and be sitting there with 2 losses, and the metrics look good on Utah. Continue to kind of pound people, right? That's the difference. BYU hasn't had those style points. That's why I kind of want them a little bit here against TCU and Cincinnati. But honestly, I'm like, the way BYU plays, the way they run their offense and do things, I don't know that style points are going to be there unless the defense is scoring or special teams is scoring. BYU wants to take their time, assess, pre-snap, window dressing, all of that. That takes time. BYU's not in a hurry. They're not going to. Also, Klein Take has sportsmanship at a level I do not. I want to pound fools. He wants to be kind if they're up by enough. You know what I mean? But it does have an impact. With 12 teams, it's hard to see 3. We had Reese Davis on last week. He said 3 is not out of the question. It would be awesome. I would love it if the Big 12 got 3. That level of respect would be incredible. You would need some 3-loss SEC teams and Big 10 teams, like last year, like South Carolina and Ole Miss didn't get in with 3 losses, and that was a good sign to me. So, yeah, I don't see 3, but really hoping for 2. If the Big 12 doesn't get 2, I don't think that's a good thing. Like, to have 1 elite team is great, but this league deserves 2. There's too many good teams in the league.
Last year, I think, with Arizona State getting a first-round bye and Boise State getting a first-round bye, I think that was a very rapid reminder that, hey, this new format might need to be reevaluated. I think this year, the group of 5 champion that ends up getting in, because it doesn't appear that there is a Boise State this year, right? It doesn't appear that of the group of 5, even the best in the group of 5, anyone is going to really be able to compete. I don't think we're dealing with fringe top 25 teams at this moment.
Yes.
I think people are going to look at it and say, do we really, in a 12-team format, we really want to give the group of 5 champion an automatic? I think that conversation is going to happen after this year. I just don't think it's going to matter because obviously they still get the spot in this year's playoff. But because, you thought, oh, it's going to be South Florida or it's going to be North Texas. Oh, last week we were like Memphis, and Memphis went out and promptly got beat. So I don't know. I think that this format, maybe to the point you made earlier about a reevaluation to 16, is going to continue to be evaluated. However it plays out the rest of this way, I think there are going to be several people, and Utah fans will be the loudest among them if they end up just on the outside looking in saying, well, why is North Texas in instead of Utah? That doesn't make sense. And that's just part of the format.
Yeah, it is. I think that I think that G5 should get in. And I say that because I just think it's fair. I can see the argument for not, but I'm not in favor of kind of the Power Four pulling away quite yet. And if they do one day, then they can just have that playoff without them, right? But right now it's like, just go to 16. We don't need to expand beyond 16. And then, you get the top 14 in there for sure. And that's good enough. Because last year, those games weren't actually even that good. It's the idea of a playoff that we want, right? Are those matchups good enough? Is it like the NCAA tournament, March Madness? No, because it's football. The better team wins almost every time. In basketball, that's one basketball game. That's why the NBA, NHL, they go, hey, MLB, they go, no, we need to play a series here. That's not football. That's just a one-off. But the more physical, talented team almost always wins in that situation. So, it's fun. I love that BYU and Utah are in the mix this year. It's been a great year so far, and we've got a fourth of the season left, luckily, and it'll play itself out. And I think at the end it'll probably make sense.
I would be remiss if I didn't at least sprinkle in a question about BYU men's hoops. The schedule gets even more interesting as we approach what will eventually be conference basketball, but big showcase opportunity for AJ DeBonsa, for this team as a whole. What do you make of the BYU hoops team right now and what's in front of them?
It was a lot of fun Saturday night in the Marriott Center. They were playing Holy Cross, but it felt like they were playing, a really, really good team. It didn't matter. There's so much juice and excitement around the team. BYU had 10 dunks. It felt like 17. They really worked on getting to the rim. I talked to Kevin Young, because I sidelined the game after the Villanova game, about they went 17 of 35 within 4.5 feet. And so I said, is that a problem or is that a one-off against Villanova? He said, no, it's an issue. And we actually differentiate between the shots in the restricted area in the paint and non-rim paint shots. He said, we don't want to shoot any of those. It's either at the rim in the restricted area or kick out for a three. Very NBA-like, right? So BYU, 7 of its first 9 shots against Holy Cross, right at the rim. They made 6 of them. They made a 3. They jumped out 10-0, and they were on their way to a 45-point win. But BYU also was really interesting talking to Kevin Young about. He told me we basically have 3 rotations, and he said, I learned this with the Suns when we had Devin Booker and Chris Paul. He said, we're going to stagger them to where one of them's always on the court, and that is with A.J. DeBonsa and Rob Wright III. One of those two is always going to be on the court, and that's good news because those are tremendous players. Richie Saunders led BYU with 20. They got that big 3. They're accounting for 60% of the scoring right now. I don't think BYU is going to be as deep as they were last year, but that starting 5 is really talented. So Delaware tonight, and then third-ranked UConn on Saturday in Boston on Fox with Bill Raftery. Onions! It's going to be awesome.
Huge opportunity there. We'll be watching closely, and most of us won't admit it because this is the home of the Utes.
We both watch each other's games. I don't watch Utah men's basketball, I'll admit it, but I watch Utah football.
You should. That's an undefeated squad you're talking about. Put some respect on Alex Jensen's name.
Weber State, almost gotcha.
Oh, does almost count, Jerem? Is that how it works? Is that? I had my 5th grade teacher, Mr. Bogenschutz, used to say, almost only counts in hand grenades and horseshoes. Every single time someone said almost. Shout out to Mr. Bogenschutz.
But in this social media world, it does matter.
All right, great talking to you. Thanks for your time.
Shout out to Alex Jensen and that super baggy T-shirt that he used to wear in the 90s. He was the most relatable college basketball player I can ever remember.
I tried to get him to mandate that for the uniforms this year. Just like an Alex Jensen night where everyone has to wear a baggy T-shirt under their baggy jersey with baggy shorts. He's like, I don't think they'd go for it.
Hey, that 98 team was incredible, man. I think I can name the whole starting lineup, too, and I was on the BYU side. That was an amazing team.
All right. Have a good rest of your day. Have a good weekend, and we'll be chatting 7 days from now.
Sean, you're the best.
That's Jerem Jordan, BYU Sports Nation. He's our resident insider on the team down south as we do Red and Blue, brought to you by Murdoch Ford Santaquin. I will campaign again for that uniform mandate with Alex Jensen because he's joining us on the show tomorrow. Is that at noon, James? Is that when that's happening?
I was right at the top of the show.
Right
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. We're starting off with Alex Jensen.
Yeah. So
love it.
So get on YouTube at ESPN 700 Sports Utah. Hop in your car. Go to the stream on the app or ESPN700sports.com. Right at 11.
Tell your boss at work, hey, I've got a meeting I need to
have
be
him
in.
listen too.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you're going to want to hear this.
Look, if you say I have an important call I need to listen in on, you're not lying. Okay? Just don't say
we will get him over the phone, so it is a call.
Don't say that it's work-related. Tell your boss, I've got an important call I need to listen in on. And your boss is like, oh, wow, okay, that's proactive. Oh, well, all right.
An important call.
An important call, all right. And then immediately vacate wherever you're having that conversation with the boss. Hey, just as you're walking out the door today, quick heads up, boss. Yes, what is it? 11 a.m. tomorrow, I got a really important call I got to listen in on. Okay, great. And then just gone. See you later. Have a good day. You're out. Okay? And
there will be no questions. Goodbye.
They might be sitting there just, wait, important call. This is a two-person office. It's just me and that. But you're not lying because it is an important call and you will be listening in. So that's how you clear your schedule for the Alex Jensen interview tomorrow on the Sean O'Connell Show. See? We're helping you out. Daily Dump is next, and the saga that we described yesterday at LSU with Brian Kelly and his firing and his buyout, it is far from over, baby. We'll talk about it next in the Daily Dump. ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Valley Plumbing can take care of any of your plumbing needs. If it's got a pipe, they can fix it. Water, do not let the damage accrue, the drips, the leaks. Call Valley Plumbing before the problem becomes a disaster. Truck with the Duck will take care of you. All right, Daily Dump. We touched on this earlier. The Mavs have fired Nico Harrison. We have to get further into this Brian Kelly saga, okay? Yesterday we were talking about the buyout that Brian Kelly refused, right? $25 million, Brian Kelly says, no, you owe me 54. You offered me the contract. The contract was your idea. And they said, okay, how about $30 million, and we'll let you get another job without being penalized. He's like, no, thank you. Now, LSU, the counter move, right? This chess match that's happening. Louisiana State University is trying to say, well, we actually didn't officially fire him when you guys thought we officially fired him. So what they're trying to do now is they're trying to do a take-backsies. Just kidding. We didn't fire you.
Touch blue, make it true.
We're now going to fire you for cause. And, of course, firing someone for cause it would mean that Brian Kelly, aside from just losing these games, he did something far more egregious. And James actually did a great job of
yeah, I was your AI for this ESPN article.
For cause dismissal as constituted in Brian Kelly's contract, material and substantial NCAA rule violations. If I'm Kelly and his lawyers, this is the one I'm sweating because
there could be anything sometimes. Yeah,
there are so many damn rules in the NCAA, and this era of college football is so insane that you could almost guarantee that in every program, whether deliberately or more often accidentally, rule violations happen. Yes, they happen, right? So that's one, but it has to be substantial NCAA rule violations.
Yeah, it doesn't say material or substantial. It says material and substantial. And material in this case, OC, is just like evidence. Like they have evidence for it?
Yeah.
Is that basically what they mean here?
As far as I know.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, being
Get a
convicted
lawyer
of
on
a
the
felony or any crime involving gambling, drugs, or alcohol. We don't know if Brian Kelly, he's very red-faced, but I think that's just because he's an Irishman.
Could he have a flask in his jacket?
Like, I don't know if he's got any kind of a problem.
You're saying that if you were the head coach of LSU, you would probably look red-faced too in those situations?
Yes.
Especially because they just showed a B-roll of Brian Kelly as they're talking about this on SportsCenter, and he's like yelling all the time too. So that's another reason why he's red-faced,
yes.
Like angry yelling all the time.
Engaging in these are the 4 cause parameters, right? Engaging in serious misconduct which displays a continual serious disrespect for the mission of LSU, or that constitutes moral turpitude, such as depravity or wickedness.
That's what. So I had to look up what turpitude meant. That's turpitude, depravity or wickedness.
So what this does, and I know it's a family show. I don't mean to be indelicate here, but this is put in these contracts so you can fire someone for cause if they're engaging in extramarital affairs or things like that.
Or like what the Mad Hatter Les Miles was accused of with students.
Yes.
That kind of stuff.
That's what this covers. Like, whoa.
Or was it interns with Les Miles anyway?
This is actually also, again, if you're Brian Kelly's lawyers, you're like, okay, is there any concern that any of this is going to come into play? At Notre Dame, you could have made a pretty strong case that Brian Kelly was doing things that were detrimental to the mission of Notre Dame, the way that he treated GAs and things like that on his staff. We don't know if that was the case at LSU, and he hasn't had any reports on that. So this is what LSU's digging
Have you been morally turpituding?
Have you been turpituding us?
In turpituity?
So those are the 4 cause constitutions in Brian Kelly's contract. But the hilarious thing here is that LSU is trying to say we didn't actually fire him when there's a public statement from the athletic director that went out to the entire world who had any kind of interest that said, I decided immediately after this game to make a change with the head coach.
Well, and his statement, by the way, I'll read it. The quote from the ESPN article, anyway, is the most relevant part of it. We had high hopes that Kelly would lead us to multiple SEC and national championships during his time in Baton Rouge. Ultimately, the success at the level that LSU demands simply did not materialize, which tells you we fired you not for cause. We fired you because your performance was not adequate. That's not for cause as it's defined in Kelly's contract.
Here's what you need to do if you're an athletic director right now. In the for cause section, just put a certain winning percentage.
Yeah. I don't know if that can't be allowed because
Why not?
I'm just saying that has to be something that for some reason is not allowed because that would be in every contract, right?
Well, I think that legally it has to be allowed. It's not allowed because coaches won't sign it.
Yeah, maybe that's it. It wouldn't be agreed to.
The industry standard is just like, whoa.
We're not agreeing to that.
I have to have like a 750 win percentage in SEC night games.
It's like your scholarship agreement. You have to maintain a certain grade point average. You have to maintain a 750 win percentage.
Because heaven forbid these multi-million-dollar coaches actually have to live up to the expectation legally in order for them to justify their $95 million contracts. It's the easiest,
and
most
getting
simple fix in the world.
Yeah, and getting paid after they're dismissed. Yeah.
Like every other job on the planet, you could easily say, hey, if you're Sean O'Connell show, if your ratings dip below this, or if your performance in sales or whatever dips below this, it means you're not meeting your end of the bargain, and we're going to fire you, and that's a for-cause thing. All right?
He gone.
And, like, in a lot of industries, you just have to be like, okay, I guess that sucks. But in college football and in coaching in general, and by the way, this is true in pro sports now, where they're just like, every pro sport except the NFL, I'm giving you a $1 billion contract to be the best baseball player in the world. Okay, cool. So do I have to hit 400 from here on out? Nope. Okay. What if I strike out at every at bat? What happens? Oh, we still have to pay you.
So I'm averaging like 35 home runs a year so far. If I only average like 10,
what if I'm pitching for you too? I'm Shohei Ohtani. What if I just walk every batter I see for the rest of my career? No, yeah, we still have to pay you. Oh, okay. It's the wildest thing in the world, but that's how it is. So Brian Kelly, imagine how hilarious it is when his lawyers get a phone call from LSU's lawyers. Hey, Brian's not actually fired yet. We're finding reason to fire him for cause.
So he's not allowed to work for us, but he's not fired.
Oh, so you want Coach to show up and
finish the season?
Get back on the recruiting trail, start breaking down film, that kind of stuff? No.
No, stay away, please.
Can he have his keys to the office back? No.
No,
but he's not fired.
Absolutely not. We don't want you anywhere near the facility.
But he's not fired. Yes, he's not fired.
That's correct. Well, we would say not officially terminated is how we would prefer to say it.
This is a movie playing out in real time, and I absolutely love it.
Here's the other part that I wanted to highlight. So they're saying the main argument that they're claiming as to how he can possibly not be officially terminated, not be officially fired yet. Then AD Scott Woodward did not have the authority to fire Brian Kelly in late October. Thus, he has not been officially terminated. Now, here's the context around it. Woodward was fired 4 days after Kelly was dismissed.
Okay. Now, this, I think, is actually the only spot where LSU might have a leg to stand on here. If they want to make this argument based on the fact that Scott Woodward did not have the authority to fire Brian Kelly.
Even though he still held the athletic director title at the time until 4 days later.
But before those 4 days, I think it was the next day, the governor very publicly said,
He's
Scott
terrible.
Woodward is an idiot, and we're not letting him
It's terrible.
hire the next coach, which would suggest that if you don't have the authority to hire the new coach, you might not also have the authority to fire the old coach. So the governor might have saved LSU here on accident.
So the governor is Michael Scott, and Scott Woodward is Dwight Schrute. I want to fire someone. Please let me. No, you do not have authority to fire anyone. So
I mean, the governor, without knowing what he was doing, might have come out like
since
12 hours after Scott Woodward fired Brian Kelly and saved LSU.
Hold on, he didn't fire him.
Well, tried to fire him. Saved LSU $54 million potentially just by being a jerk.
Yeah.
Just by being like, Woodward's a moron and we don't trust him, so I'm going to put a panel together. Now, everyone at the university is like, wait, let's run with that. Let's run with that. That could save us $50 million. The governor was correct. He was speaking on behalf of the university president. We had already fired Scott Woodward in our minds. He had no authority.
In our minds.
And that means that Brian Kelly is still employed.
What a really dumb situation for LSU.
It's so fantastic.
So here's the other part. That's if you set aside your theory of that being their argument, that the governor saving them. So according to the suit, now of course this is one side of the story. But here's what Brian Kelly and his representatives are claiming in this lawsuit. In the termination meeting, the current interim AD of the school, which I forget his name, but the guy who's in charge now, and other school officials were also present at that termination meeting that Scott Woodward allegedly unofficially fired Brian Kelly. So, them saying, hey, the guy who fired you, he doesn't have authority, but they're also at the same time saying the guy that we were saying we give the authority to take over for him, and other probably people in the president's office who were present at the meeting who co-signed this, they didn't have the authority either.
Okay, so his name is Verge Osbury.
Osbury, yeah.
Who
was probably an associate AD or something, and now has been elevated to interim AD.
Yeah, he's interim athletic director. He's now being told, all right, you were there in the meeting.
You didn't have any authority either.
The guy that you're replacing was there. Chancellor so-and-so was there. Colonel Sanders was there, whatever, whoever shows up at those things.
The governor's executive assistant was there.
And none of you had any authority to fire Brian Kelly.
You were just there telling him you hated his job performance and that you wanted him to go away. That's all you were there for. You were not there with any authority to fire him.
Last thing I'll say about this. If somehow LSU's lawyers pull this off to where they save $54 million, they don't have to pay Brian Kelly his full buyout, or even if they have somehow settle and he's got to go back to the $25 million or whatever,
settle for 40 or whatever. Yeah,
whoever that lawyer is, make them president of the United States.
Seriously,
because what they are up against right now, with the only hope is this governor loophole, and that is it. It is just.
And also just the most idiotic judge.
It is the most insane comedy of errors around major industry. This is LSU. If this was happening at Southern Utah University, everyone in the country would just look at it and be like, look at this. Look at this crazy backwoods podunk place. This is at LSU.
Shout out to SUU.
This is one of the
Go T-Birds.
This is one of the top 15 football programs in the country. This is an athletic department who has a world-class facility for their mascot.
Yeah.
They built a world-class zoo exhibit for the damn mascot.
For one animal.
For a singular tiger. The money that flows through that program is embarrassing. And they're like, it's a firing that didn't actually happen because the guy who did the firing, we already didn't like him, and there were several people involved in the firing meetings, but maybe we don't like them either, so we don't want to pay his buyout.
You've been officially unterminated, but please, no, you're not allowed anywhere near campus.
If this goes through and LSU somehow wins, every breakup that you regret as an adult,
you got a way. You got a way to get back in there.
Every divorce that shouldn't have happened, every firing that you're just like, oh man, that was actually
You can George Costanza. You can just show up at the office.
Just show up. Like, this is the ultimate take-backs.
You want to go back to San Francisco and just go back? Hey, I'm back on the air, guys.
Did we fire you? Well, unofficially, maybe. Wait, what do you mean?
Like, I've got this ESPN article that explains unofficial terminations really well.
Wait a second. The person who decided I wasn't working here anymore, they're no longer here. So you can't stop me from working. Fine. We're not going to pay you. Oh, I love this.
It's so good. Better movie. The Chauncey Billups Mafia poker game situation, or this one?
You know what? Put them together.
Put them together.
Make one of the guests at the Chauncey Billups rigged poker game Brian Kelly and Scott Woodbury playing.
Scott Woodward.
Woodward, yeah.
Yeah.
Osbury,
well, you can.
Woodward.
You know what? Based on a true story, let's call him Woodbury.
Based on true events, right?
Let's call him Crying Belly and
by the way,
Scott Woodbury.
By the way, if you're Chauncey Billups and his legal team right now, you're looking at this and you're like, wait, is there any way we can do take-backsies? Well, Chauncey was betting on these games.
He didn't have the authority to, though.
But he was not actually, in that particular moment, the head coach of the team, so he can't be banned. I love this so much. Lawyers will try anything.
Apparently, big-time universities will try anything to avoid a buyout that they offered to their employee.
Correct.
And probably, I mean, there's obviously negotiation. It wasn't purely just, hey, we'll give you this. Like, Brian Kelly and his agent negotiated that. They said, we're only agreeing to this. But still, like, they were the ones that said, here's the contract. We agree to it.
Outside of the NFL, I don't know that there's any other place that so brazenly just says that contract that we proposed and signed, we never had any intention of paying that full contract.
Yeah.
Like in the NFL, that's industry practice.
Yeah, with non-guaranteed contracts.
It's like, yeah, you have a $200 million contract. How much is the guaranteed money? It's $18. Oh. Really? Yeah.
Over 5 years. We split the $18 over 5 years.
It's fully guaranteed, though, right? Like the NFL contracts they're fake numbers outside of the full guarantees and the signing bonuses. Apparently, that's how LSU contracts are too. So a cautionary tale for whoever the next coach is, which, by the way, is another factor in this whole scenario we haven't even discussed. They've got to go out and hire a top candidate for this job. And that top candidate probably has one of the same 4 agents that represent Brian Kelly and all the other big players.
If they're not helping themselves.
And that agent is going to be like, remember how you tried not to pay my last guy his buyout? This buyout is going to be $200 million. LSU, you dumb.
Can I just say before we end the segment, so glad Nico Harrison finally got fired. Speaking of firings, like, good for the Mavs. It's never too late to do the right thing.
All right. You know what? Well, let's take a break. Let's come back and let's talk a little bit more about that. Jeff Schwartz just texted me. We might have to get to him a little bit late. He's got some orthodontics to handle right now. So we're going to call some audibles. This is the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Jeff Schwartz set to join us at 1 o'clock. He is handling some stuff with his kids right now. We might have to push him a little bit later. We'll get him when we can get him. Not gonna hold a guy who joins us every single week to the coals for a football segment. We'll get to it when we can get to it.
All right, fine. You can never go on this show again. If not 1 o'clock, no, we're not doing that.
If you can't catch the show live, make sure you listen to us on demand, ESPN700sports.com, the ESPN 700 app. You can tell your smart speaker to play ESPN 700. Set your alarm for 11 o'clock tomorrow because Alex Jensen, the Utah Running Utes basketball coach, is going to join us right off the top. We'll get into some things with him. Remember to tell your boss, hey, I have an important call I need to listen in on. It's not a lie. You're telling the truth to your boss, and it's a loophole. All right, so
a better loophole than LSU's lawyers have. We promise.
All right. Nico Harrison, we like probably every other radio show in the country, absolutely dragged Nico Harrison after he traded away one of the best 7 players in the NBA.
Yeah.
In the prime of his life. Young guy, not without flaws when it comes to professionalism and personal health and things like that.
Although he seems to have addressed that this offseason.
Maybe, and now the spite body for Nico.
Yeah.
Or it's not for Nico, for Luka is in full effect. And maybe that never happens, right? So maybe all of us owe a debt of gratitude and a thank you to Nico Harrison for pulling off the shock trade, really, of my NBA lifetime. I'm trying to think of another one that was more surprising.
Yeah, so here's the most shocking, up until then, the most shocking transaction in NBA history for me, but it had nothing close to the same reasoning, is when LeBron and Bosh joined Dwayne Wade in Miami and signed. They somehow got all 3 of those guys in the same uniform, all from the same draft class, all top 5 picks, right? That was the most shocking transaction in NBA history for me, at least in my lifetime. This tops it because it's completely different reason, and it just inexplicable. Like, you just traded, you say top 7, I say top 4 or 5 player in the NBA who's 25 years old and still has a chance to win a couple of MVPs, if not more.
Look, Luka's so good, and the trade is so inexplicable that it births conspiracy theory that your franchise was then compensated with a kind of out of nowhere number 1 pick to get Cooper Flagg. That's how good Luka is. And you traded him away. And by the way, ownership probably is just as culpable, but you can't fire the owner.
Yeah.
Right?
The owner is the boss. They're not going to fire themselves.
The owner, I still do not believe that Nico was acting alone, so to speak, in that regard.
Yeah, Dumont, the now controlling owner of the Dallas Mavericks post Mark Cuban era, it had to have been more than, hey, Nico presented this to me. He made a good argument. I said, okay, go ahead and do it. It had to have been like, we're working together on this. You're going to be the face of this move.
And by the way, if not, then Nico Harrison has the most oversized set of stones of anyone in front office. Can you imagine being like, yeah, I'm going to trade away our best player, a franchise player, a generational talent who has all of the marketability with his, internationally marketable player, is a guy, top jersey seller. He is the dude. He's the straw that stirs the drink for this entire franchise. I'm trading him away. And, hey, this is my job. You didn't like it, owner? Sorry. You shouldn't have given me this job then. I don't believe that was the conversation. So Nico Harrison is out, and I think this was a career ruiner for him.
Yeah, I can't see him being a front office executive.
He's going to be running a G League office somewhere that you don't.
He was a prominent Nike executive before this. I don't think he's able to get that job back. Like I don't think he's going to be able to be in the at Adidas or somewhere else. Even though he was,
you are now a verb.
Presumably really good at that job.
People are going to say in the future, "Oh, you Nico Harrison that one."
Yeah.
You traded away.
You Nico'd that one.
You really screwed that one. Like that.
You really Nico'd there.
And by the way, you could have fired him the day after. The fact that it took 9 months or whatever doesn't make a ton of sense to me either. About
as long after after Luka led the Mavs to the NBA Finals and then was traded. How wild is that? That was about 8 months. Last February was about 8 months removed from that, and this is about 9 months removed from that same guy getting traded, the guy who traded him getting fired.
Also, Patrick Dumont, the team president, I think is the name that he's given himself.
The governor, the owner of the team. Yeah.
He issued this big statement where he absolutely ignored the idea, did not mention anything about the trade. He just talked about the start of this season, and that is, I guess, the professional way to handle it, but it's also so remarkably tone deaf.
Yeah.
Because the statement is to the fans, okay? So if you're an owner and you're issuing a one-page statement, a one-page justification or an apology or whatever you want to call it to the fans, the right thing to do, and I will die on this hill, okay? The right thing to do in every situation like this is to address what people actually think and care about. You say, hey, Nico Harrison we're moving on from Nico Harrison. The trade did not work out the way that we thought it would. Sending Luka away was a mistake. And then the fan base goes, well, at least the owner is like taking this thing head on.
They definitely make jokes about that. Oh, really? That was a mistake. But there's a lot more respect there.
We screwed this thing up. I am ultimately
responsible. We Nico'd this thing up.
We really Nico'd this. And Nico Harrison is gone, and now we're moving forward.
Did you see? So he went right up to acknowledging the Luka trade without actually acknowledging it. He said these several months have been difficult. So he basically said, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'm not putting it in this statement. It's the way that's how he acknowledged it.
I mean, and look, you go back to when the firing happened, there was a lot of conversation, a lot of innuendo around the fact that Nico was the fall guy for an ownership group that did not want to pay the Supermax deal for Luka.
For a guy who they felt like wasn't serious enough about staying in shape.
Here's what I don't believe, all right? I don't believe that you can let something get to the point where you're going to send away a player of that caliber without actually going to his agent, his closest friend, his mom, whoever is the person that has influence on Luka's actual daily life, the actions, the diet, the workout schedule, right? Maybe it's a coach on your staff, whatever. And you inception that person, okay? You bring Leonardo DiCaprio and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and
Absolutely.
You say, plant this idea in that person's head so then they can pass it on to Luka that if you want a Supermax deal, if you want to stay in Dallas, you really do need to lose some weight. You need to stop the drinking. You need to do this. You need to do that. Whatever it is, whatever the concern for your GM or your owner is.
And they said, "Hold on, can we dim the lights in the room because we're going to need him to be asleep for this."
You bring the Inception crew in, and you do everything in your power to make the change without having to make the change.
Yeah.
And when I say that second make the change, I mean sending him to bleeping Los Angeles.
Just ridiculous.
We handle, not we, teams, franchises, front offices handle these athletes in so many cases so wrong. Like, I've never met Luka. I've never talked to Luka. Luka might be the most arrogant, ridiculous, stupid person in the world. Luka cried when they sent him away. He cried publicly as a 25-year-old who, by the way, is going to Los Angeles and is going to be making just as much money in L.A. There's no reason, unless he actually cares about that franchise, for him to feel sad.
And the city, like he freaking bought a house in Dallas.
Imagine his life is sorted and set no matter where he lives and goes. If your boss walked up to you and is just like, you're going to make a ton of money, you're going to live in a fancy house, you're going to be closer to the beach, the downside for you is you don't get to see the mountains every day, maybe you would cry. Most likely you wouldn't. You'd just be like, oh, all right, well, that's a life change.
Could be a cool little change of scenery.
Luka was invested. I don't believe, you would not be able to convince me that there was not a bridge to be built to get what you wanted out of him and for him to get that Supermax contract in a way that felt justifiable for both parties. Because that's the type of player he is. And the money, by the way, if you're Patrick Dumont or any other NBA owner, the money makes sense anyway. If you own a professional sports franchise right now with the television contracts, you own a cash printing press. So you're a billionaire. The extra $40 million you have to pay on that Supermax contract is actually insignificant to you. I will not ever believe that this had to be done. And if Nico Harrison ends up being the fall guy for an ownership group who absolutely refused to pay the Supermax, that's just as much on them as it is on Nico. But this man, former Nike executive, longtime front office member for the Dallas Mavericks, is now, I think, unhireable in basketball.
Yeah. And, turns out Sarah Todd was right. It was malpractice. Shout out to Sarah Todd.
There's no other, drafting Sam Bowie instead of Michael Jordan.
Yeah. There's a more modern one. A lot of people in hindsight will say Greg Oden over Kevin Durant.
But again, those are a lot more forgivable in my mind because those are projections.
Well, the draft's a lottery. Like
exactly.
We talk about the
those
NBA draft lottery. It's like we feel good about this guy's potential, but in the end, it's potential. It may not work out.
Every franchise has a player they wish they had drafted instead of the guy that they took in every year, right?
Yeah.
And some, there are plenty of teams that are just like, why'd we pick this guy instead of that guy? Why'd we, depending on how far down the draft board they feel. There's probably a lot of people out there like, I can't believe we let Donovan Mitchell go where he went to the Utah Jazz. Man, we would have done a lot better for ourselves if we had drafted that guy. That's a common mistake to make. You know what's not a common mistake to make? Trading away a generational talent.
A guy who has proven he's arguably one of the among the few best players in the world. Yeah, that's not a draft pick. That's someone who has proven it.
You know what would be so much fun right now to be the next guy. The next GM in Dallas has the greatest job in the world because you cannot be as bad as Nico Harrison.
Well,
no matter what you do, not only do you have Cooper Flagg, you have the unibrow, who I think is still a decent value trade piece.
If he's not in street clothes, yeah.
Like, you probably could get something out of him.
Yeah, as a trade piece. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Good player when he's available.
I think you can use him as a nice little asset.
Yeah.
And you come in, and no matter what you do for the next decade, you are not going to be thought of as poorly as your predecessor. It is the opposite of being the guy to follow the guy. It is the opposite of taking over Alabama after Nick Saban. It's the opposite of the pressure that Morgan Scalley is going to feel when he steps into Kyle Whittingham's shoes. It's the opposite of Ty Corbin after Jerry Sloan. It's the opposite of these things. It is like the guy before you crippled us. Anything you do that's remotely positive or even neutral is going to seem, by comparison, an incredible job.
Just be decent, and you'll be awesome.
You're telling me that the bar set is I just have to not trade away our best player?
Don't trade Cooper Flag.
Like that, you know how easy that job is right now?
Yeah, just James,
do
us a favor.
James, I like
hold
what
on
we
to
do.
Cooper Flag.
I like what we do here. I'm sending an application into the Dallas Mavericks today.
I can be the guy that holds on to Cooper Flag for you. I can do that.
Like, if my whole thing is I just don't trade Cooper Flag and I'm better than the last guy, I'm an improvement on the last guy, I can do that. So you don't really know much about roster construction. No,
but I got this old coach Gordy Chiesa. He'll do all that for me.
But here's the thing. Do you want to keep that Flag guy? Yes, we want to keep him. Boom. Guaranteed. I got you covered. That is the lowest pressure job in America right now, being the next guy for the Dallas Mavericks. All right. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get Jeff today, but we'll find something. That's all right. Sean O'Connell Show on Utah's #1 Sports Talk. Hour 3 begins 15 minutes late. Next on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. All right, it's finally happened, people. Brian Windhorst has gotten to a point where he just absolutely doesn't care what he looks like on TV. On ESPN right now, full breakdown of the craziness in the NBA last night. We'll get to it here in a second. And they're doing that thing where they stand in front of the video board. Malika Andrews, stylish, looks great. Chiney Ogwumike, stylish, looks great. Windhorst, suit jacket, tie. He's got like Brooks running shoes on. Just come on, guys. You have to care about your shoes.
Not even some J's? Come on.
That like some people have really abused the whole sneakers with suit thing, and they don't wear the right sneakers with a suit. That's like you forgot your actual TV shoes and you're wearing what you walk on the treadmill at the hotel with. All right, Windhorst?
Maybe that's what happened.
Maybe that's what happened. Don't put them on TV then. All right. If you were watching NBA basketball last night, which...
Hold on real quick. What's your go-to, because you're in a suit,
yes.
What's your go-to shoes for calling PFL fights?
I have a very strong opinion that if you're wearing sneakers with suits, the profile of the sneaker, the bottom profile of the sneaker, which is more important than the top, people wouldn't realize, it has to be a straight line, which is why J's are good. All Jordans, right, they don't have that, like, a contour to the bottom. They're flat-bottom shoes.
Okay.
Think of like a Converse Chuck Taylor. It's like a straight line across the floor, right? So Nike Air Force Ones, same thing. Jordan 4s, perfectly flat on the bottom.
Okay, I am. I've got some Jordan 1s pulled up. You're right. They're just a flat.
It's a flat bottom shoe, right? It's a great look. That's why you can get away with those. Nike Dunks, same thing. The Dunk Lows have become very, very popular. I'll wear Dunk Lows. I'll wear Air Force Ones. Yeah,
Air Force
often.
Ones. I was going to say
that's
has that
like the go-to.
Look.
That's the most often what I wear. You can wear the Flights. Same thing. The most of the Jordans have that kind of profile. But like, there's one guy. I forget, his name escapes me. My favorite shoe ever. I'm actually wearing them today. I'll pull them up here on the YouTube. The Nike Air Max 90 is the best shoe ever. Okay. But you cannot wear this with a suit because, as you can see, James, this is an athletic profile shoe, right? It's not a straight flat line across the floor.
It's incredible content for the YouTube channel.
Yes, it is, for the YouTube
at
channel.
ESPN 700 Sports Utah.
These are actually a dirty pair. I wear these to hike with my dog, so my apologies. But
your formal Nike Air Max are at home.
But I won't wear 90s with a suit because it doesn't look right. Now, the guy who wears them on ESPN every day, he wears like a jogger-style pant, which improves it a little bit. But then he's got like this business on top, party on the bottom sort of situation.
So are you always sneakers with suit guy when you're on TV?
Like 90%, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it seems like you have put a lot of thought into this.
Yes,
so
absolutely. I
have. What do you wear otherwise? Some loafers or...
Oxford's not Brogues.
Okay.
To go back to the what's that franchise of movies that's now escaping me?
I'm not sure.
The Kingsman.
No. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
we can move on from that.
The NBA night last night. Well, James was watching Now You See Me, Now You Don't. As the biggest NBA fan we have here in the building. James, you missed.
I know
the best finishing of games in 20 years almost. Never since 2007 we have not had a single night of NBA basketball with as many game-winning field goals as game-winning shots or lead changes in the final minute of play since 2007. It was the biggest wild night in NBA basketball in almost 20 years. And we had did everyone see Donovan Mitchell looked like he hit that like turnaround, fadeaway, crazy three-pointer, and then with 0.4 seconds left on the clock, the inbound lob buzzer beater. That is a great play. That is a beauty of a play.
Especially because it's legal to offensive goaltend on that play. You can throw it in the hoop, and your guy can actually touch it, like tip in. If you play tip in, on your driveway, you can actually reach in and touch it
just to make sure.
Or if it's like,
you can't throw the inbound pass directly into the hoop,
or if it's like rattling around the rim, your guy can touch it. Even in any other case, that's offensive goaltending. When you throw it from out of bounds, there's no rules about that. So that's especially why that play is great.
Jazz in action tonight against the Pacers. Utah Mammoth back in action tomorrow night. But the wildest finish in NBA basketball, regular season basketball, playoff basketball across the league, not just in a single game, in years.
By the way, Wemby, part of that, hits a game winner with under 30 seconds left. He also has a 35-5-5-5 stat line, 5-3, including 5 threes. So 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 5 blocks, 5 threes.
And 12 rebounds, by the way, to go with it.
Yeah, at least 5 in all those categories. Like one of the, I don't know if it said it's the only guy in NBA history, but one of the few guys in NBA history to do that. And one of those is a game-winning 3 in the final seconds. Yeah, what a night. I missed it for a decent movie.
Well, at least you were at an enjoyable screening where you could feel like, oh, I've already seen that. You know, you can lord that over people.
Yeah. Oh, you guys aren't able to see it till Friday. I saw it Monday.
Most of us were wasting our night watching a 10-7 terrible Eagles-Packers game.
Yeah, don't act like you saw all these NBA finishes.
No,
last
I didn't.
Night.
Because I was watching Matt LaFleur decide to go for a game-winning field goal from 64 yards out. Like an idiot.
The guy missed. The guy was closer to the Pacific Ocean than to the uprights on that kick.
I put a couple of questions out, by the way, because one of these was sparked by the gadget play that USC put in against Northwestern that, in hindsight, was illegal. This was something we didn't get to in the Daily Dump. So the Big Ten has come out and issued a statement that the fake punt pass thrown by Sam Heward after the jersey swap is actually illegal. It's totally legal to have somebody
2 players with the same number.
Yeah, you can,
and to switch jerseys.
You can switch jerseys. You can switch jersey numbers as long as you put it in the program the day of the game.
Which they did that part right.
They did that part right. What's illegal about what they did is you can't have 2 people playing the same position wearing the same number. So
I have a grievance about this that will air on Friday when you're gone. But yeah, it's such a convoluted, like, okay, you can have 2 players with the same number. They can on the program be listed as different positions. So. And they don't play the same side of the ball. Offense, defense, we see that all the time. Jalen Johnson was number 1, and so was Tyler Huntley, for example. Others, if I'm not mistaken. Others.
You have Devin Dampier's number 4 and Don Saunders is number 4.
Yeah, Don Saunders is number 4. So we see that all the time in college football. But then because even though in the program he's listed as quarterback, in that play he lined up as punter.
He lined up as a punter. That's illegal.
And the other guy, number 80, is the punter. Is the guy listed as punter? That's what made it.
Who also had played punter in that game.
Yeah.
So that's the illegal part. But
the Northwestern coach, by the way, was like, he was only thinking about as long as we were informed, we were notified about it in the game program, we're good. So he was like, yeah, they did everything right. We should have caught that. So he even missed the smaller part that the Big Ten is saying, yeah, that should have been a penalty.
So the correction came out, and it doesn't change the outcome of the game, and it's fine. But it sparked, because it brought that play back into my mind. It sparked for me a question that people are not really engaging with much online at Real OC Sports. When you have trickeration in the lineup, right, in the playbook, is it better to use that in like the big games, in the hard-to-win games, or is it better to use it when you're going up against Northwestern and your USC? We do this thing all the time, right, when you're talking about preseason games, non-conference games, like, oh, save a bunch of the playbook, save it, don't show the whole offense. And then we talk to offensive coaches, and they're just like, guys, we just run our playbook for the most part. Yeah, we probably leave some in the tank, but we're not like deliberately trying to hide the stuff we do. This trick plays, you try to hide the stuff that you're capable of doing. You don't want your trick plays to be on film for people to pay attention to. So you're going to run a play like this if you're USC twice a year at most, 3 times a year maybe. Why did you use it against Northwestern? Right? When you're Utah against who
Cal Poly.
No, they ran the fake punt. It'll come to me. Fake punt, pass. Dallin Bentley caught it.
Yeah, that was in the Cincinnati game.
Okay.
Right?
Like, you're running that against Cincinnati. Cincinnati's a ranked team. That's a tough game, right? That makes sense. Using it against Northwestern.
Or was
why?
that Colorado? Anyway, it was a recent.
Was it against Colorado?
It was in the last couple of games.
I think no, you're right. It was against Colorado.
Yeah.
Because that was my initial thinking. So why run that play against Colorado? You're going to smack Colorado no matter what. Like, and so
and you had held them to negative yardage at that point.
Yeah, because the joke that we made it halfway through the first, it was like
right that pass, the punter has more pass yards.
Your punter had more passing yards than Caden Salter did. Right, it was against Colorado. Like your trickeration plays, you're almost too scared to run them against elite competition, because if that thing ends up being a busted play against Texas Tech, now you're double screwed, right? Because Texas Tech's going to make you pay for it. So it's weird because you scheme up all these crazy things, but then you're almost too scared to use them against the elite competition. But you want to roll them out and see if they work. USC wasted that bullet against Northwestern. Anyway, go vote on the Twitter poll if you'd like.
Yeah, I think I'm on the side of save it for the big opponents, that you need that to help you beat the best teams. It feels like a waste and kind of piling on, unnecessarily piling on when you use it against teams that you're clearly better than, right? Even though I understand that, hey, I understand thinking this is the time to do it because it's way low risk because we can beat this team anyway. But it's like, what? But so you only put this play in the playbook, you only made them practice this so that you could pile on a team that you could beat anyway without being tricky. That's the part where I'm like, I'm not sure I'm down for that part of it. Where are you save it for the big game?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think this is, again, being a head coach, because it is a head coach who decides whether you're running these trick plays, right?
Yeah.
That's always it's where it gets so complicated.
Obviously, it's like matchup to, hey, we can run this play against this team because they line up like this kind of stuff.
Yeah, you got to have it right. It's got to be something that if they give you a certain look, you can exploit it.
Yeah.
Against Colorado, you saw that on both sides, right?
Yeah.
That was a great special teams game. If you're looking for those advantages, those trick play advantages, and that's one of the reasons why maybe it's harder to do against good teams, because they don't like ignore the guy that's out there that is the gunner, and that's when you should run there's nobody out there covering him. That actually happened against Cincinnati. I think Nate Johnson was out there, and there was nobody on him. I was like, are they going to run another fake here?
They could have if they wanted to. Yeah.
They could have if they wanted to. They didn't, right? But those trick plays in your mind, right, when you're playing Madden at home or you're playing NCAA football at home, you save the trick plays for the big games. So far this season, we've seen a lot of trick plays happening in games where it's just like, oh, well, you could have beat that team without the trick play.
Yeah.
So you as a coach, tell me how you would use it at Real OC Sports on the Twitter poll.
I think of Boise State Fiesta Bowl 07 versus Oklahoma. The couple of trick plays that won the game for them. The hook and ladder that tied the game, and then the Statue of Liberty that won the game.
Yeah.
Like that felt like the appropriate time to pull those out.
And the reason a team like Boise State does that against a team like Oklahoma, and where those two programs were at that juncture of their history,
Boise State talent-wise is overmatched.
You're just not going to be able to line up, peel your ears back, and just be like, okay, we'll get 5 yards on every carry, and we'll just outrun you on the edges. So, yeah, you get misdirection going. And I don't know, maybe I'm prisoner to the moment and what we're seeing in like these last couple of weeks, but I want the trick plays to be busted out in the biggest games. The consequences of a bust on a trick play in a big game are obviously a lot more drastic, so that might be why people don't use them as often.
Well, you think of the wide receiver pass against BYU last year, for example, with Damian Alford. Like, that's a trick play that in a big situation went horribly wrong.
Yeah, and that weird duck formation where you had the two tackles and Semi Taulonga split out against BYU this year.
Yeah, it worked great on the first play, and then it didn't work out well otherwise. So I guess Utah did in the last couple of BYU games under two different offensive coordinators, two different play callers there, have saved some special stuff for big games. But yeah, I'm with you. Like, I don't know. It feels unnecessary to be doing that in a game that you could win otherwise.
It also one of the age-old things that we're now getting used to in sports when the conference or the league comes out and says, we should have called this penalty, we should have thrown a flag here. It doesn't make you feel better if you're on the losing end of that. But now you know, Sam Heward, no wearing punter jerseys moving forward.
Former Utah great Sam Heward. I did love seeing Utah transfer while he was in the game. Like, oh yeah, he did play. He was on Utah's roster last year. But it was like, shout out to Lincoln Riley for thinking of something that clever though. Like, yeah, we're gonna put our third or fourth string quarterback in as we're gonna have him wear the punter's number so we can run this play. That's clever thinking by Lincoln Riley.
All right. How desirable is the Giants head coaching job, knowing that you could be coaching Jackson Dart? Somebody did the research. You probably won't be surprised by the results. We'll share it with you next on the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. All right, we talked about this on the show a little bit yesterday. How desirable is that New York Giants job that Brian Daboll just got fired from if you know that there's now a young core of offensive talent, especially that you can probably develop? There's two ways to look at it. Maybe you like Jackson Dart as the starting quarterback of the future. He had some really good numbers in his starts before the injury took him out. And, Cam Scatterbo, same thing. They still have Malik Neighbors. There's a lot of reasons to like that, right? So Connor Hughes is an NFL reporter who covers the Jets and the Giants, and he went and he did some research. He called around and asked about, how appealing that job is for people he perceived to be top candidates. On the condition of anonymity, he didn't want to share anyone's names because obviously if you're a coordinator for another team, you shouldn't be talking about open head coaching jobs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the results, and look, it's not a fully structured research poll, but if we're basing it on, conversation, there's only 32 of these jobs. The people he talked to said, yes, I want to be there because of what they've got, because of Jackson Dart, because of Malik Neighbors, because of Cam Scatterbo, because of that young core. This is going to be potentially one of the hottest jobs, as we were kind of talking about. It can go bad if you're not that coach's flavor. If you're Jackson Dart or you're Cam Scatterbo, you're whoever, and whoever gets hired as the coach there is like, I don't know, I think I have different visions for this. But it's a lot easier in today's NFL to find a coach than it is to find a starting quarterback. And so the Giants, I think, feel they have found their starting quarterback, Jackson Dart. The scary thing for me, obviously, is his head. Jackson Dart, with the concussion, I want to see him take significant time off so that doesn't become a problem. Your season is effectively lost for the Giants. Don't waste any of Jackson Dart's career on a bad season. Don't risk any of Jackson Dart's career with him getting hit more often than he needs to be. I'm sure the Giants are listening to the show. But good for them that they've put together a roster that a lot of the hot coaching candidates are going to look at and say, hey, let's go.
They got a mini triplet situation in the works there with the quarterback, the running back, and the receiver. Obviously, lots of time needed to help develop, particularly Jackson Dart in that group. But, yeah, I'm not surprised that there's particularly offensive-minded head coaches that are like, yeah, I'd like a chance to work with that group.
So probably no surprise there, but just a report from SNY TV in New York as one of their Jets and Giants reporters did the straw poll, and people are high on Giants' potential and the appeal of that job. All right, we'll take another quick one here. We've got some Fierce Fighting Championship tickets to give away in our topical trivia segment. That's coming in just a couple of minutes. Friday night, first fight at 7 o'clock at the Masonic Temple on South Temple in Salt Lake City. I've been to fights here. It is a phenomenal venue. It is a really interesting building. They do a great job. They bring in some food, so you've got some options, and then you're just like in the grand hall of this old, very architecturally interesting building, and on the walls you've got all the dudes in their Masonic gear. It's just I haven't gone down that rabbit hole as much as you probably might think, because I go down every rabbit hole I can find, but there's some crazy looking stuff in there, so check it out.
Even if you're like, I'm not that big of a fight fan, but I'll try it out. Like you've said earlier this week, OC, This is a chance to be in a building that most of the time you're not going to have access to.
It was one of my good buddies called me literally this morning, and he's just like, "Are you going to those fights on Friday?" I'm like, no, I got PFL stuff I have to do on Friday." He said, "Dude, I wanted to go because it's at the Masonic Temple." He doesn't want to go because it's the fights. He wants to go because it's at the Masonic Temple.
He just wants to look around.
I was like, "All right, well, buy some tickets then." So
or text us answer the trivia question.
Answer the trivia question.
Go to ESPN700sports.com, enter to win the VIP tickets. A couple of ways to win.
We're trying to hook you up, people. All right, Sean O'Connell Show coming to a close here in just a little bit. Is Spence in the building today? You never know if Spence is on remote.
He is doing his show from studio today, so we should have him for crosstalk.
Hopefully we'll get to talk to Spence. We'll see what he thinks about Brian Kelly not being officially fired by LSU. And
he might have some interesting thoughts on Michael Ray Richardson. He was a former Knick pre his father's era of running the team, but just being he probably has had heard some stories, or maybe even had some interactions with Michael Ray Richardson, who passed away today.
I would be remiss also. We spent an inordinate amount of time last season talking about a Colorado Buffalo athlete, Travis Hunter, because I'm so fascinated with him as a player foremost, but also he's really interesting as a person. He's a guy that we had a chance to interview a couple times, and I was incredibly impressed with. He's out for the remainder of the season. Knee surgery. So
LCL, it doesn't say tear, but an LCL injury. So the other, we typically hear of the ACL and sometimes the MCL. It's the other ligament that he hurt in his right knee. Has season-ending surgery on that.
28 catches for 298 yards and a touchdown so far this year. He has 15 tackles and 3 pass breakups on defense. He was playing 67% of the team's offensive snaps and 36% of the team's defensive snaps up until the injury. So a true two-way player, and now he's a no-way player.
At least this year.
Sorry, Jags. They've got the Chargers coming up on Sunday. Trivia question next. Your chance to win 2 tickets to the Fierce Fighting Championship at the Masonic Temple on Friday. It's the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Eight 877-353-0700. We told you we will give away some tickets to the Fierce Fighting Championship event happening Friday night at the Masonic Temple in Salt Lake City. First fight is at 7. Show should go till about 11-ish, I would imagine, if you can answer this question correctly. 877-353-0700. Wildest night in the NBA last night that we've had in a long time, at least in the regular season. The stat was that we have not had quite so many lead changes, buzzer beater shots in the last 60 seconds since what year? We talked about this earlier. That was the wildest night in NBA basketball since which year? We just talked about it earlier in our third hour. 877-353-0700. For 2 tickets to the Fierce Fighting Championships. 7 o'clock, first fight at the Masonic Temple, which is a fun building to go watch fights in. Just take my word for it, or don't, and roll out there yourself. Another little tidbit of news that we didn't touch on yet today that is exciting, or potentially exciting. John Henry Daly is among the finalists announced for one of the prestigious individual awards in college football, the Bednarik Award. It was announced by the Maxwell Football Club, who, of course, also distributes the Maxwell Award, that he is a Bednarik Award semifinalist. He's also on the Lot Impact Trophy list. John Henry Daly is one of 17 semifinalists for the 31st Annual Bednarik Award. He's got 40 tackles, 14 for a loss, 9.5 sacks on the season, and now an award semifinalist. The Drive with Spence Checketts is coming up next. He's here in studio with me. Hi, Spence.
I can hear nothing. Can you hear me?
I can.
Hello.
How about now?
Oh, hey. Yes. Loud and clear. Hello, Sean. How are you?
I'm great.
Good to see you, buddy. Good job today. I've been driving around quite a bit. Caught a lot of the show. Well done. Per usual. I mean, it's not a surprise. It's what you do. It's the Super Bowl every day on the Sean O'Connell
Every
Show.
day. It's radio something. Gold, bronze, platinum.
No, gold every day.
Radio uranium each day.
What's your Delta status?
Come on.
You've got to be, I mean, with how much you fly, you've got to be top shelf.
Come on. Are you doing,
It's platinum.
No, it's diamond.
It's diamond?
Yeah.
What does that actually get you?
It gets you upgrades, like a decent chance of being upgraded if you're not already in a first-class seat.
Okay.
It gets you, I think it's 6 times the miles on every flight, which is, I think it's a 6X booster.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
You already have all the miles. You don't need
Exactly.
a 6X booster if you have all the miles.
I might be over. It might be like 4X or something, but it's ridiculous.
Are you one of the patrons that when you're on a flight they come thank you for your service?
No, that's the next one up. It's like Delta 360.
Okay,
members.
that happened. It's not to me because I think I'm lowly gold. I'm basically homeless at this point. But I was sitting next to somebody on the way back from Orange County.
Yeah.
And you could tell that he was bummed that he wasn't in first class. That was my first sign.
Yeah.
And then right after we take off and we're flattened out, everyone can take the seatbelt off. The head stewardess or whatever they call them these days.
Yes.
Sorry if it's the wrong
Flight
term.
attendant.
Flight attendant. Thank you. I know the generation behind us is a bunch of walking HR ladies at all times, so you have to be careful.
Oh,
so,
here come the angry texts now. Yes.
Yeah, indeed. So they came and they just said, hello, Mr. Jones or whatever. We just wanted to thank you for being whatever you are.
Yeah.
And he was so mad he wasn't in first class, he just barely even acknowledged her.
Oh, yeah.
You could tell he's one of those guys.
Yeah, so Delta has this Delta 360 members, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there's no, like, stated public way of earning that status. You know, if you want to be gold, platinum, diamond, whatever, they tell you how to do it.
Yes.
You have to spend this much money, you have to fly this many times, you have to do some combination of those things. Delta 360 is this enigmatic. They just invite you. They offer you, if you've flown a lot, if you're like the travel booker for a major corporation, they're probably going to make you Delta 360. No one knows the exact criteria, and that's what makes it exciting.
So do you feel like you're inching closer and closer?
I'm nowhere near it. I know that.
Nowhere near it.
Yeah.
Even with all the international travel you do.
Yeah, it's like for like the big time travel people.
So, but I would imagine as platinum, you're like front of the line to get in the sky. Diamond, excuse me. Diamond
Please.
is above platinum.
Yes.
So diamond, you're like front of the line, every Sky Club. Because at this point, the last 3 or 4 times I've been to this, we're so relatable. The people are loving this. The past 3 or 4 times I've been to the airport in Salt Lake, there's been a line that's too long to get in the Sky Club for lowly gold members. And the pretentious diamond and platinum, they just walk right to the front. You're harshing my mellow now, Sean.
I don't do that. I will have you know, I don't want to be in a crowded Sky Club. So I've become so haughty now as a traveler that, like, if there's a line out the door for the lounge, I don't want to be there. So I don't want to go and wait in line.
Correct. What do you do? What do you do instead?
Go to the gate and I sit down.
You just sit down by the gate.
Yeah, just go to the gate.
Just hang out. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, congratulations on your status. It's very, very, very exciting.
Thanks. That's exactly what I wanted to talk to you about today.
Anything else on your mind while I'm here?
No, I mean, Nico finally fired in Dallas, and we were talking about it for 20 minutes on the show today. It's such a 9 months removed from the disastrous trade, and now the fall guy is the official fall guy, and we're going to have, the postmortems and the evaluation of how and why and all this stuff happened. And you look at it again, and obviously it hasn't worked out for the Mavericks.
Mm-hmm.
We never thought it was going to work out for the Mavericks, better than it was going to work for the Lakers, right? And now I'm looking at Nico Harrison destroyed his career to make this trade.
Yeah.
He blew it up.
Yeah, he did.
No one's going to hire him.
Yeah.
Not for a position of this import.
Yeah, and, he honestly wasn't qualified for that position.
All right.
In my opinion. I mean, I think owners should always look at basketball people to run basketball ops. He was more of a marketing guy with a background. He was hired for his relationships, basically, and one of his relationships was with Anthony Davis, right? And so, there are several things that were so out of bounds with that transaction. Luka's in his mid-20s. And he is a franchise change. He's one of 4 or 5 guys that changes the landscape of the league as soon as he moves. And you reset the Los Angeles Lakers time frame, which also sucks. When it comes, like, LeBron's more or less done. Like, when he's healthy, he's still someone that can make a difference, but he's not the guy that's going to change things the way he used to be. But Luka is that guy. And Luka is so similar to LeBron. Like, in his mid-20s, the way LeBron played is a lot like Luka. So it's a perfect situation for the Lakers. And Nico simply relied on his relationship with Anthony Davis, and he talked about defense. Like, if you watch NBA basketball more nights than not, there are very few teams that actually guard every night. You've got to guard come postseason time. But Luka carried them to the finals on his back. Like, you don't – and for all the things like, he may have been out of shape. I don't care if he was freebasing crack. Like, you don't make that transaction. It was the dumbest thing. And the clock was ticking, Sean, that day. I'm actually surprised it took as long as it did.
Well, yeah, it was we'll find out the nitty-gritty details of it, but whether, ownership really was just like, I don't want to pay a supermax to a kid who's out of shape or whatever, that's also malpractice, but you can't fire the owner. I'm fascinated by the emotional stories in sports, because they're so rare now in professional sports.
Mm-hmm.
Luka crying when he left Dallas matters to me as a fan.
For sure.
Because that guy's life is set.
Yeah.
He's going to L.A. He's going to play with LeBron, right?
And they extend him max money, yeah.
He's going to be a cornerstone of a Lakers franchise, one of the iconic franchises in all of American sports. That's cause to celebrate. That's cause to rejoice. And instead, he was sad that you traded him away.
Yeah.
I look at that, I'm just like, well, if there's a guy who loved being there that much and you got rid of him, you're the biggest moron I've ever seen.
It is potentially the dumbest trade in NBA history. And with what they had around him, and they didn't know they were going to luck in a number 1 overall pick. I mean, to have Cooper Flagg next to Luka Doncic, you are legitimately a contender in the West for a decade. If you just keep those two together and surround them with good pieces. It was so boneheaded on so many levels. You reset the Lakers. And it's such a risk. And look, I can remember a lot of people saying, like, no team trades a superstar in their mid-20s. I'm like, the Jazz did. Every night when I watch Donovan Mitchell every night, I'm like watching an ex-girlfriend, the one that got away. Like, it bums me out. He's so good. And he continues to get so much better. He's not Luka. But, yeah, the clock was ticking after that transaction was made. I'll say it for the third time. I hate that you reset the Lakers time frame. Like, Rob Pelinka got Executive of the Year. All he did was answer his cell phone. All he did was decide to pick up the phone. And I guarantee...
Sorry, what? You want to trade who?
Yeah, he probably put his phone on mute. He's like, dude, get in here right now. Nico Harrison just offered me Luka Doncic. I don't care what you're asking for in return. You do that transaction. And then they give Pelinka, like, Executive of the Year like he did anything.
You're just giggling with joy after the trade.
Yep.
Like, this guy I traded was an idiot. You probably feel kind of bad.
Yeah.
Like when you were an older kid and you would ask the little kid at lunch, like, hey, can I have a bite of your pizza? And then you eat the whole slice.
Mm-hmm. You bully. You did that constantly.
You know what? I've confessed this on the show before.
Mm-hmm.
I was such an arrogant little you-know-what when I was in 7th grade.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
7th grade, Eastmont Middle School. Shout out to the Patriots.
Shout out.
We had the pizza line. I never wanted to wait in the pizza line.
Mm-hmm.
And there was, like, he was literally the coolest kid in the school, 9th grader.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Morgan Sharp. Shout out to you.
Shout out Morgan Sharp.
I would say, hey, can I have a bite of your pizza? 7th grade me would fold his slice of pizza in half and bite like half of it.
To the 9th grader?
To the 9th grader.
You were obviously much bigger than he was.
No,
right?
I wasn't. He could have killed me.
What a coward.
Shout out to Morgan for being the nicest human being on earth.
Huh.
I still, when I remember that, I still cringe at what a little jerk I was.
Yeah, we all do that, though. This won't, I mean, I was a very humble, well-behaved teenager with no hubris or arrogance at all.
Like, I'm still obnoxiously arrogant in my 40s, and I have calmed down at least 90%.
Well, I'm just glad I've maintained my humble approach to life and, my job day to day. So, I guess what do the kids say? Not like us. We're not alike. It's all right, Sean.
It's fair.
Anything else? Or are we good? We got the Delta status out of the way. Did a little Nico.
I'm going to go like Brian Kelly. I'm going to go re-examine every time I've been fired.
Yeah.
And see if I was actually fired.
Can I just say the email that was released that he sent, the language in it was like, due to your decision of letting me go. Like, it was very clear that he was trying to make it very clear that this was on them. I feel like this is going to end on his side, by the way. I feel like he's going to get paid.
If LSU somehow wins this, best lawyers in history.
Yeah. One more thing about the out of shape thing. Have you ever watched the Nuggets play? Nikola Jokic looks like his diet is donuts and Diet Coke. And he can barely get up and down the floor, and he's the best player on the planet.
Yeah.
The Luka thing just pisses me off. Anyway, Sean, good to see you, buddy.
Well, hopefully we've effectively stirred up Spence Checketts. Should be a fun drive. Stay tuned. ESPN 700, 92 on FM. Proud part of Utah's ESPN Radio Network.